have to be doing, but someone who just won one of the most dramatic Armageddon games we have seen, well, is joining us here in the studio. So a big welcome to Anna Mizicic, who just defeated Zhu Wenjun. Now, how was that game for a rush? How are you feeling, Anna?
Yeah, it's like some time has already passed, but I am still in the game in this unclear mode. So, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it was completely crazy. And I think it's the first time we've seen in an Armageddon where you actively took your king out for a walk. You did it with confidence. So part of the preparation, right?
At the beginning, yes. It was kind of my strategy to have a calm game, a classical game, and then to try to play more actively in the Armageddon.
So you were targeting the Armageddon because you had this creative idea in mind.
Took your king you never know, because she could have chosen a different opening, and then it would have been a different story. But at the beginning, in this case, kind of, yes.
So it's kind of interesting because did you come into this tournament, did you make preparations, have a repertoire for the classical game and then something a little bit wild for Armageddons?
I wouldn't say that it was like specific for this tournament, but from time to time you do play some rapid and blitz, so you have to think about your opening choices when you're playing that, and then some ideas are like kept, or sometimes you're working on your openings, and then you think, okay, probably this direction is better for shorter time controls, so then you kind of notice.
And Anna, I want to actually go back to what you just said earlier about being part of the strategy, that if the opportunity came, you were happy to take it to Armageddon. And I remember Norway Chess last day, we were calling you the Armageddon Queen for the way you were playing, and you had really entertaining Armageddons last year as well. How do you decide, or what was it that made you feel that today, with the white pieces, that too, if it was, you were happy to take it to the Armageddon?
Okay, I wouldn't say that I was like going to Armageddon in every line, but in some lines, like somewhere you have ideas to continue with the classical games, but sometimes you are like, okay, I don't have a good idea for a classical game in this line, and then you decide to, okay, let's do something in Armageddon. So it's more or less. But yeah, when it started like 2 years ago, I think I lost my first 2 or 3 Armageddon matches, and I was like, who invented the system? And then
what happened next year?
Then I won. Yeah, I think the first Norway Chess I made 50% in Armageddon, and last year maybe 6 out of 8 or something like that.
You
so
crushed
it
in
was
the Armageddon.
it was better. But okay, yesterday I lost, today I won.
But do you enjoy the format of the Armageddon and having every day being decisive at the end of it?
To be honest, I would prefer without it, because it's less work. You don't have to think about what to do in case you have to play another game. This format is one of the reasons that makes this tournament special. It's the only tournament where we have this format, so it's interesting, but it's
It's a dream for the commentators as well, I'll tell you that.
But you mentioned, of course, that Norway has a very unusual format. It's not something you see anywhere. So I just wanted to ask you, does it help having the experience of being in the Armageddon situation? You've been here 2 years. You understand exactly what needs to be done, or is it still very much like,
No, I think it helps, because like I remember when I went to play Norway Chess for the first time, I was like, what is this? It's not even like like in Armageddon we have 10 against 7 time control, so it's not like even yeah. So it's something like completely you really don't know what to expect, but if you play like 1 or 2 games of this kind, then you're in the tournament.
And during the breaks between the classical game and the Armageddon, how do you prepare? Do you call anyone up for advice? Because I remember last year, I think you called your sister.
Okay, sister coaches, so yes. Especially if something unexpected happened in the classical game, and you are not sure what to do, then
You called.
you try to at least get some advice.
Oh,
And Anna, 2 years in Stavanger, Oslo, this time, how are you enjoying it so far?
Yeah, new location. With now we are playing in a beautiful library, and also the studios are really have spectacular view. So yeah, also the playing hall, it has more space, so more people can come. If you happen to be in Oslo, just join. And it's great. I like Stavanger, but I think Oslo is also good.
You know, you mentioned the beautiful studio, and I think I'm going to get fired for this, but I'll still ask you your opinion. We've got 3 studios here, right, Anna? We've got Norway Chess, we've got chess.com, we've got the TV2 studio. It's fantastic, the whole vibe. If you had to do 1, 2, 3 for the studios, how would you rate them? In terms of aesthetics.
Okay, for me, Norway Chess, I think, was like the most beautiful, the most elegant. I think, yeah, they are. No, I mean, look at them. Not really.
We've been feeling bad as well.
But yeah, about.
But
these
we're your favorite,
two,
right?
Yeah, we are here. Okay.
Anya, stop asking these questions.
stop putting Anna on the spot.
I haven't been there, so yeah.
We're the top 3 favorites.
Yes.
You're definitely in the top 3.
Thank you.
And before we let you go, because I can imagine you're quite eager to rest from that very dramatic Armageddon game, I just want your thoughts on this game between Magnus and Vincent. And I'm first going to ask you, Magnus has a knight on a7. Which knight do you think was the one that landed there?
Which knight?
Which knight? Yeah, was it the knight on g1 or b1? I'm kind of like leading you on.
Could be any of them.
Could be any. Okay. If I were to tell you it was the knight on g1.
On G1, yeah?
Yeah, and that's the route that it took.
Oh, wow. Yeah, a long way. This knight on a7 reminds me of the bishop on a7 in Karpov's game when he blocked the a file and then he doubled the rooks and then got advantage over the file. But interesting game. I think he has improved because earlier I thought black was okay. Now maybe still okay. I don't know. Yeah, but this knight on a7, you need more time to understand what's going on.
I completely agree with that. Thank you very much, Anna. Good luck in the rest of your games, and we hope you come back and visit us soon.
Because we're your favorites.
I hope I'll have reasons to come here. So if I come, it will be good for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Anna.
Well, I completely agree with Anna there. Some more time is needed actually to delve into the intricacies of this particular position. And it's interesting how we all spotted that knight on a7 and all of us were like, Karpov and Ziga.
Pattern recognition.
Yes.
And chess.
And culture.
And it was really the first time that I saw that idea come into play, right? You study your classics, and that's how you know how to fight for the A line, plant a minor piece on a7, double up, triple up, in that game's case, on the A line, and only then you open it. And it was incredible to see, Yovi, you were the first who mentioned it, and then Anna spotted it, right? As soon as you told her the knight landed from G1.
Yeah, no, I just had to ask that question because it's so unusual, right? That the knight goes all the way across the board.
I would love an experiment here, like asking some of the younger grandmasters, what does this knight remind you of? Because, I don't know, players of a certain generation, I think we were all brought up on these games and like these patterns, and every book, any Spanish book, any Karpov collection has a bishop on a7. But I don't know, do the kids study with books these days? Do they get these positional lessons? Was it all calculation? I would love to know. Maybe something for a future day.
Yeah, that would be quite an interesting quiz. So whilst Vincent is considering what to do after White has doubled up on the A line, let's go back to our bird's eye view because it's that time when the clocks start ticking down and things start to get very tense on the board. So we still have decisions in the game between Jujina and Bibisar Asalbaeva, but the queens are off in the game between Ali Reza Firouzja and against Pragnananda. And it is Gukesh who's taken control over the A line.
And maybe that's the one that we go to, David, unless you want to jump into Divya's just for a moment, but I think Gukesh, Wesley getting very exciting with a potential rook infiltration on the second rank lined up.
Let's do it. It's still a pawn sacrifice after all. And yeah, it feels like Wesley, in his attempts to try and win this game with a small time advantage and yeah, from a promising opening, it does feel like he's taking some risks. So let's just do a quick action replay. We left it after b4 with loads of captures, loads of questions. We were saying rook takes rook, cb4, de5, which pawn capture do you go for? He decided to get the rooks off first, and then he captured in the center. We did come to the right conclusion. I think we should give ourselves a pat on the back that black wants to take with pieces, not pawns, on e5, just to keep this bishop's diagonal open. And rather than take on b4, allowing black to just simplify everything, win the pawn back, and go into an equal position, this is where Wesley got ambitious and played queen to c2, saying if you take now on c3, the white bishop starts to become a very strong piece. Gukesh played h5. When in doubt, push the h-pawn. The knight is not very comfortable on g3 now. f3, solidifying, and this is how we got here. Rook a5, last move. I must admit, I'd start being a bit nervous here for Wesley. Like, the king's on an open diagonal, h4 coming, rook a2 coming.
And that pawn in b4 has been hanging for the last 5 moves, finally being picked up on its 6th, and the rook does infiltrate. The queen needs to stay connected to the bishop, so either d1 or c1. I think c1 feels like the more natural square. You leave it on the open line as well. I wouldn't want to put that queen on c3, lining up with the black bishop. And after queen c1, Gukesh will be down a pawn. A lot of piece activity. But what's the follow-up? Do you start rerouting your knight to those central squares, open up the diagonal of your bishop? I'm seeing at ideas like knight d7, knight e5, David, bishop on b2 jumping in, maybe throw in an h4. Yovi, right now it feels like enough compensation for the pawn.
Yes, there's some activity right on the A line to compensate for things, but I just remembered Wesley is a pawn grabber and he's very solid. So yes, I do believe that Gukesh has some activity, but I can understand why Wesley has gone for this, because he's like knight f1, bishop can come to c3, challenge on the dark squares, and I love a knight being on f1 because from there it can jump to e3 and really will start controlling any breakthrough squares.
Yeah, it's like a knight on f8, there's no mate. Knight on f1, you shall not have fun. You cover everything. Yeah, it's quite concrete. Like, Gukesh maybe has like a 3-4 move window to create some threats before Wesley fully just covers all bases. Like bishop c3, rook e2, suddenly white's just a pawn up.
Very interesting. You know, like you're saying that Wesley's a pawn grabber, he's also extremely hard to beat. He just holds on to the pawn and defends it to perfection. Technically super sound, Wesley so is. And he's the kind of player who pounces on an opportunity if he's given it. But on the other hand, I see Gukesh sitting opposite him, who's a player who loves to play for the initiative as well. I just feel like this position interestingly suits both these players. What Wesley's gotten for himself, great for him. What Gukesh has, he's enjoying it as well.
Exactly. This is fascinating, this position. If we had to predict, is this going to be one of the 2 decisive games this round?
One of the 3
I want
decisive
to say
games.
one of the 4, but I'm not feeling the confidence currently. So we've had 1 Armageddon already. I have only 1 more left if I have to win the prediction game. Don't think it's happening today.
All the bars are in the center other than on Zuzhina against Bibisara right now. This is, I have a feeling, maybe going to be decisive. Like, unless Wesley has to give back the pawn just to simplify and get all the pieces off the board, then it's going to be hard to see this kind of ending in a draw. Either Gukesh gets a big attack and is able to deliver some kind of mate, or Wesley just slowly covers all the bases and wins with the extra material.
And talking about attack, what is stopping Gukesh from, I like this move going h4, then once the knight goes to f1, you just go knight to h5 and start saying, hey, there's some squares.
Ooh.
And as a pawn grabber, as a materialist, I did hesitate, and that was because I first had to stop and calculate what's going to happen after queen takes c7. That feels like it's just taking it 1 step too far, and look at that. No time.
Oh, I really want to take this bishop.
Yeah.
Get rid of the dark squares.
And you've got a sneaky check, by the way, on a7. Easy to miss.
Yeah. And that's why I want to remove the bishop. Check now. There's a bishop e3 block. So maybe just taking this bishop off the board. And now this check. Where's the king hiding?
Is it hiding?
If it hides on f1, doesn't hide for long. Checkmate. And if it hides on h2, There's a bishop check, so probably has to hide on h1, allow a check. Or maybe not the check first.
Do you jump in with your queen?
Bishop,
Maybe the bishop first or queen.
bishop. I mean, it all looks so tempting, but now maybe knight f1 covers some checks. Maybe the queen.
Queen f2, rook e2, and then knight g3 is there, so you don't actually have rook e2.
Yeah, and this is pretty much decisive attack for black. 3 pieces, 3 is the magic number. The knight, the bishop, and the queen combining to trap the white king. So this is the danger. Like, that's why Wesley is actually hesitating, not playing knight f1 yet. Maybe knight e2, although, yeah, it does look odd in front of the white rook. At least it does cover the second rank, though. Maybe knight e2, and if the knight comes to h5, then just terrified of these checks. Maybe something like bishop e3.
But this, with the opening of the long diagonal, then there are ideas of going rook a1 as black.
Yeah. Maybe this is a draw now. Rook a1, queen d2, rook a2.
Armageddon time.
Armageddon.
Ooh. I will say one thing though, if the position has any life left, Gukesh is the last player to repeat anything. So I think he'll continue fighting, even if that was to happen. So there's still hope that we might have just 2 Armageddons.
Yes. Interestingly, Gukesh, he's defeated everyone else in this field in classical at least once, but never Wesley.
Uh-huh.
He's never beaten Wesley in classical chess. Not many people have beaten Wesley in classical chess. I certainly haven't. We've had so many draws and I've lost a few, but he's super solid for a reason. Knight e2.
Knight e2 on the board. And now for Gukesh, does he route the knight via h5 or try to bring it onto e5 via the d7 square?
h5 feels so natural.
It does.
Combined with some checks on the diagonal, the g3 square, just always mating nets in mind.
And I also want to point out that this knight e2, apart from everything that you mentioned, comes with another threat. You want to push that rook on a2. By the way, knight h5 played. Knight c3 always in the air. You need to watch out for that move. Just kicking the rook out of there.
I guess the big question, and it's something Jovanka mentioned, bishop c3. Like, is there time? Is there time to remove this fantastic bishop? If there is, then white should go for it. But if not, then
Yeah.
was it just checkmate? Is it just mate on
Well,
this?
that's the problem. The queen comes into f2 and starts sniffing around, and queen and knight, they're a magical duo.
I mean, I'd have a heart attack if I saw this. I mean, even in classical, like Blitz, I think is just over. Black will win this game, but maybe you can get away with just evicting the queen.
Just in time with no check on g3. But you need to evaluate this all the way through with queen on f2 and be sure that you're surviving this.
Yeah.
But Wesley has enough time on the clock to navigate right now.
Yeah. And could Gukesh be trying something a little bit more subtle? And work with me here. I'm thinking king h7 instead of knight h5, with the whole idea that you can go knight h5 without worrying about bishop c3.
So yeah, if he'd play king h7 instead, then now the
This
bishop
is
comes out this way.
this was the idea.
Yeah, this would have been interesting actually. For sure.
It does feel a bit slow. I don't think we'll be seeing moves like that because knight h5 in fact played.
Yep.
It's on the board. And now you have to be careful about queen a7 check. I think bishop c3, if the queen infiltrating on f2 isn't dangerous, feels like the move you really want to make as white. Get rid of that dark squared bishop. Leave black with the bishop that's doing nothing at all on b7.
Yeah, this is a critical moment for Wesley. So does he try and trade off black's most dangerous minor piece? If not, he might live to regret it. Could come under heavy fire, heavy attacks. Yeah, if you put the white pawn back on f2, like you never ever have to worry. Everything's covered, no weaknesses, no squares. Wesley would be fine. But the pawn on f3, all the dark squared weaknesses give Gukesh great chances. Fascinating position.
Definitely fascinating, but there's been a lot of clarification. So let's go back to our bird's eye view. And it seems like today the players were delivered an envelope saying, open up either the A line or the H line and make the play revolve around that. Because we're seeing that the queens are off in the game between Farujja, Pragnananda. the H pawn. But it does look like, look at the evaluation bar. White is the one that is slowly taking over.
Oh, Prague's in huge trouble. Like knight versus bishop, when it's blocked in the center and when the opponent with the side with the bishop has weak pawns, that's scary. I think we'll jump into that one. Just to mention, Zhu Jiner has gone for a massive breakthrough in the center on a square that looked defended, something we talked about earlier. Really happy to see that one. Really thematic. That should go in some positional manuals. But yeah, Veruja Prague looks like the place to go. Some updates. Queen's off and horrible endgame for black to defend.
Can we just do a rewind and find what happened?
Let's do it. We left it here, bishop f5, bishop f6. We actually talked about this, and in this position, knight back to e1 was played. Black apparently with a small advantage still, but maybe had to be a bit careful about how to pursue it. I really don't like his decision here, Prague. Like maybe just rook g8, keep the white knight tied down to the g2 pawn. That looked like a very logical option, but instead queen e4 is so committal. And after an exchange, suddenly white's rook gets access to some nice squares. Black's pawns are all broken. e4 isn't isolated, but can't connect any pawns with it yet. h4 is isolated. He traded off that isolated pawn, but if this white knight ever ends up anywhere decent, like g2, f4, then if it ever gets around to c5, this is just torture.
And that's just one of the two problems, right? Once the knight is out of the way, the rook from c1 is about to capture the g file and infiltrate on the 7th or the 8th rank. And suddenly the problem of the f7 and the e4 pawns for Pragnananda as well. A lot of questions to be answered. I mean, that e4 pawn is such a massive weakness. It's on the other color complex as the bishop. You'll have to find ways to defend it, and it's not going to be easy. I'm already seeing ideas of the bishop retreating, the white knight getting out of the way, and rook g1.
For example, if the bishop moves, I'm not sure which way the knight goes, but even if it goes towards this way, as you say, Tanya, like this is two active rooks for white. This is one very passive rook for black, one very passive bishop. I just don't like the bishop because it has no targets. Like f2 is always defended. Yeah, this knight, I can even see it going to a1, getting inspired by Magnus now. And coming around b3, c5.
Yeah. Can I also point out a tactical idea that Ali Reza has up his sleeve, and that is with the knight on e1, there are ideas of going d5. Back rank, checkmate.
Ooh,
That is very nice.
super nice.
Whoops, checkmate.
Fast way to win the game.
Yeah, that is... Actually, that's very nasty. Can't be stopped. Like the bishop is hanging, has to be... well, I was going to say has to be getting that one out the way, retreating it. But d5's coming either way, maybe.
How are you actually defending it? I mean, bishop d8, d5, do you just end up losing a pawn?
Oh, maybe
Rook h1, rook h6, okay.
or rook h1 as well. But yeah, it feels like white's going to win a pawn at some point, though. Like rook e5 might just pick up the e4 pawn.
Yeah, but so many weaknesses for black.
Yeah, I just think Prague totally misevaluated this queen e4 move. Like, if we just rewind like to this position, he's totally fine. Like, never break the connect 3. He wanted a queen exchange, but it's come at the cost of a really, really weak pawn on e4. Activity for white. I think he's just did it all on Alareza's terms here. Question mark again. And big, big advantage for white. I think Alareza wins. Time as well. Big time advantage.
Wow. Some potential big news with Ali Reza having a very good position against Pragnananda. He could be maintaining a 100% score. But talking about big news, if you've been looking to level up your game, the chess.com spring sale is officially live. Right now, you can get a massive 50% off premium memberships through May 28th. Don't wait until the clock runs out. Head to go.chess.com/spring sale 2026 or just hit !spring sale in the chat. You don't want to be missing that offer. And we are going to go on a break. And when we come back, oh my God, there is going to be so much action on the boards. You don't want to miss it.
That at least for us viewers, that's the way we're supposed to see an Armageddon. It was at least exciting.
Yeah, for the viewers, it's always very, very, very amusing to watch. I mean, yesterday I was following the game of Keymer, and yeah, as a spectator, you get a lot of joy, but as a player, it's crazy.
Yeah, because that was my next question. Do you feel the same kind of joy when you're actually playing these crazy games?
It's very nervous. But okay, of course, you have a good feeling if you win, but if something goes wrong, then it's really very disappointing.
1.5 points today. Does that give you a good feeling for the rest of the tournament now?
Okay, for today it was like more or less my strategy, yeah, to have a calm classical game and then to play Armageddon, and whatever happens. So yeah, but okay, it's just the start of the tournament, so too early to speak about the future.
At least we can say good start. Thank you so much, Anna.
Yeah, thank you.
Wenjun, you had a very tense classical game. It went to a draw. Please share us. Did you have any chances in the classical match?
I think in classical match it's very equal. Like there's nothing to comment. It's just about equal.
An Armageddon game, what happened? What did go wrong? We saw there was a piece sacrifice from Anna.
Yeah, I think after sacrifice, actually, I had some chances, but then it was like very simple blunder. I think after King D7, then my position already becoming worse. So I could have done better, but okay, it's Armageddon, so it happened.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your time and best of luck for tomorrow.
take? I mean, you mentioned the knights are jumping in, the white king is vulnerable, but can you just again take on b6, or maybe could you push for c5 or something? You know, rely on the asset that is the b pawn.
Yeah, unfortunately here, I think the queens staring at each other doesn't work. But yeah, it's just a matter of time. Maybe he thought queen b8 as well, slow black down. But black can simply defend that bishop, maybe even with the king. Maybe even just go for checkmate. And yeah, it's something like that he has to try. I think he was only looking at ideas like knight takes b5, black giving back the piece, but knight e6 is the key.
But that's what I want to understand. Why is knight e6 the only move here? Because there's another retreating square at e8. And that seems to not work. Let's just place the knight there because he still can't pick up the bishop. And watch the bar rise. In fact, Magnus is with a winning advantage. And David, because you still move the rook away, the bishop's falling back, so how's this helping you?
I think the trick, it must be the trick again. Oh, not quite here. I wanted to play c5.
And bishop g5.
And try to trap the queen, but it's not quite this. This is enough for equality. Is there something even better?
And that's why knight on e6 is required. What's the execution? You will show us, but that knight on e6 stops bishop g5 and all these lines.
Wow. Okay, I would never have guessed this, so I was a bit naughty. I checked with the all-seeing engine. White just retreats anywhere. Rook a4, rook a3, rook a2, rook a1. And when the black bishop moves, now c5. Threat, c6, double attack, threat, trap the queen.
Oh my gosh.
So Vincent...
Unbelievable.
Oh, this could trick him. I think knight e6 is a more logical square on general
human.
principles. But he might want to defend d6.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 50-50.
The knight e6 is the move you want to make, but then if you get greedy about your pawns, which is so easy to be, if Vincent's missed bishop g5, he could actually end up losing this.
Right, and it's not just bishop g5, right? He has to first of all understand that c5 is the invisible move. You know,
And both
c5,
of them already missed it once.
Exactly. And c5, I mean, it's covered by 2 pawns. You think it's impossible. And it's full board vision.
This
Big
is
moment
huge.
for Vincent. Knight e6.
Knight e6 would win him the game against the world number 1, knight e8, and big trouble for Keymer.
Wow, huge moment. He should invest a lot of his 16 minutes right here, right now to calculate. Of course, he doesn't know the evaluation. He just thinks it's complicated, messy, and it is. Maybe we let Vincent think, because there's been a queen sacrifice or a queen loss from Wesley So against Gukesh out of necessity. I'll just bring us straight there. Clocks are ticking all around the boards right now. Nobody in dire time trouble yet, but everyone now approaching the 10-minute mark. And this is the position. Wesley So has given up his queen for a rook, bishop, and pawn. So it's actually level material, but I don't like the white king, how open it is with the queen still on the board.
And one also gets the feeling that the pawns, the double B pawns, are going to be extremely vulnerable to any queen moving in, whether it's on the A3 square or the A2 square, and you'll end up losing more material.
Well, if you have to go passive with the rook, then you're just basically shuffling side to side, waiting for black to simply improve the position.
Yeah, that's never a happy decision. Rook takes pawn. It feels like pieces are so loose with the queen coming in with the check, the bishop hanging in some moments. David, but we should check it out. What actually happens with rook takes pawn?
We have to check it out, because if Wesley can't take the pawn, he knows he's bound to suffer for the rest of this game. He just has to go all-out passive defense, and that is the best. He should be playing rook b1 or rook d1 and just keep the rook on the first rank, because rook takes pawn.
Come in with the queen.
It must be, right?
It
Check.
feels like it has to be the move.
Oh, no good choices here for white. Let's say I try to hide on the edge of the board. Black bishop just needs to give a check somehow. Not yet, because the knight's covering that square, but is there time to just bring the knight in?
I love it. You're also threatening the bishop. Ideas of queen f1.
Yeah,
And this just looks terminal for white somehow. I
totally.
Still don't see the winning blow.
Bishop
but
e3.
bishop e3. Can white try to run the king? It must be a winning attack. Must be for Gukesh. And the bar does confirm. It goes on, but this is the way forward. Wesley should just keep his rook then on the first rank. Just for everyone at home as well, to show why Wesley gave up his queen a few moves ago. We saw him make a mistake, double question mark, bishop to g5, and it was this pin on the first rank. It has been about the first rank that came back to haunt him. Bishop a6, I think Wesley missed. And after bishop takes h4, bishop d3, deadly pin. and that's why he had to give up material.
I'm just wondering why Wesley decided to not put his queen on d2 at that moment, or am I just completely walking into something?
After bishop d3.
After rook to a1.
After rook to a1. Good question.
Why must I sacrifice? Or maybe he just completely missed bishop to a6.
Yeah, I think he missed bishop a6 from afar.
It does feel very scary with the queen coming in to infiltrate.
Yeah.
And now you can go rook a2, right?
Rook a2.
Queen e3.
Such a scary attack here.
Yeah. Ooh.
Queen e3, maybe a bishop check. Now white can't block with f4 because the queen would be hanging. And if you go back, oh, it has to be.
Rook takes knight, right?
It has to. Rook takes knight. And if rook takes bishop d4 wins, if queen takes queen, I just wanted to show. Okay, this is a nice little checkmate.
Beautiful. Beautifully done. Wow, Wesley put under pressure for many, many moves, cracks at that moment, misses bishop to a6, is now down a queen, has enough, at least mathematically, the compensation, but with the structure falling apart, the piece activity, Gukesh playing for a win.
Gukesh, I don't think he can lose this. Worst comes to worst, black gives perpetual check. Like, even if Wesley is able to like take this pawn and play bishop c4 and get his king safe and everything goes to plan, probably black has enough because the white king is so open. So Gukesh working the magic.
It's also kind of hard to put your rook on the first rank right now if you're Wesley, right? You are tempted to pick up that c7 pawn. Why would you want to put your rook?
Okay,
to passivity? What happened?
Okay, well, this super interesting, but we got to move back to this game because we said everything is going to turn on where Vincent puts the knight, and he goes to the wrong square, knight to e8. We could be seeing a very sophisticated idea now.
He's about to make his move. Magnus, has he seen it? The idea of bishop to g5 at the right moment. He needs to get c5 in.
Yeah.
If Magnus retreats his rook now anywhere on the A file, any safe square, he has a big advantage. He will have turned things around totally. But if he trades rooks, things are less clear.
And all Vincent had to do was choose the right square for the knight. He had to go forward and not backwards.
Wow, that was difficult. I totally understand why Vincent didn't want to give up d6. I totally understand why he didn't want to give up the pawn. We have engines. We saw that black's attack against the white king with the knights coming forward would have been the clincher, but so hard to see from afar.
The feeling is that Vincent has completely missed the idea of the queen getting trapped. You know, Magnus had the opportunity earlier to get c5 in at the right point. Both of them missed it, and it's just not on Vincent's radar. That c5 and all the squares for the queens are taken. But Magnus needs to retreat with the rook right now.
And that's a difficult spot, right? Because you're always looking forward. You're thinking about rook takes rook. You're thinking about bishop takes pawn and maybe doing something with the b pawn. But it's just a very calm retreat. And seeing this invisible move, c4, c5, putting that pawn on a protected square.
Yeah, to be fair, it's not just Vincent who's missed it. It was Magnus earlier who missed c5 due to the fact that the black rook was undefended. He needs to see it again. He needs to see something that he didn't see earlier, Magnus Carlsen. As our chat is saying, the sequence is still hard. The rook retreating, not easy, but can he find it?
Magnificent, and I would agree with that once he does retreat the rook. I want to point out that it's extremely crucial for him to do that, to force the bishop to go away, so that when you push that c-pawn, you can't grab it with a d-pawn. Magnus Carlsen is getting ready to make his move, and he does it! He does come back! He finds it!
He finds the first step, dropping the rook back to a2.
You have to go away, only one square for the bishop, Yobi.
Yep.
Bishop b7, and after c5, that rook on d7 is pinned. You can't capture it with the d-pawn, creating a square for your queen to run away.
I think Vincent panics here. I think he will start shaking his head. He's already shaking his chair from nerves. He has missed this, Vincent Keymer, and only now the realization is setting in. And he might have to just jettison his bishop, like give up the bishop for a pawn, not sure which pawn. I have a feeling he doesn't want to allow and doesn't want to see the white pawn cross the barrier of the 5th rank.
And that's just an incredibly sad decision to make, because yes, you'll restore material balance, but the b6 pawn will be lost as well. How are you going to keep the position guarded? It's completely busted even if you don't lose the queen, even if you give up the bishop at this point.
And suddenly, white's going to be playing with two bishops, has a lovely target on b6. So giving back the bishop isn't entirely comfortable either.
This was such a crazy save.
Yeah, and I want to shout out our producers for that. utterly incredible pun on the screen just a moment ago. Beating me to it, I'm gutted. Those cow jokes are going to follow Magnus Carlsen around no matter what result comes in next. His confessional was the prelude to what was about to become an incredible tactical battle.
And the realization for Vincent that the correct square for the knight was e6. Everything would be in control. He'd be up a piece against the world number one. He's going to go down a queen now.
That's so unlucky, because if you tell Vincent, if you drop into that position, you say, what's the better square for the knight, e6 or e8? 100 times out of 100, he says e6. But then if you start calculating, you're like, wait, I lose the d6 pawn. He kind of tricked himself out of the best move by trying to calculate a bit too much, and in those calculations, he just missed this detail. Retreat moves are the hardest to see in chess.
Yeah. And c5, what a blow. And the fact that Vincent is not retreating his bishop immediately tells me that the penny is finally starting to drop.
You see Magnus there, he suddenly put his head in his hands, he's like shaking his head. Now he's back up, trying to keep the poker face.
Well, his gamble paid off big time.
Exactly. And there we see, the bishop gives itself up. Totally understandable. Vincent Keymer wants to at least shatter the white pawn structure if he's going to have to drop the piece back. Now the black queen will not be trapped. She will be able to move. Maybe she goes back to d8 now to at least temporarily hold that all-important b6 pawn. But the knights are passive, the white bishops are fine for now, and yeah, I think he's just too slow, Vincent Keymer.
Too slow. And the point is that white can just double up, triple up the attack on b6, right? You go back with your queen, I come sideways with my queen. The rook comes on the 6th rank as well. I don't see how you're actually holding on to that pawn for too long. And once that pawn goes off the board, the queen side, pawn storm that Magnus has just decides the game.
Yep.
At least the b3 bishop is blocked, will be Vincent's thought process. But it won't stay blocked forever. c5's going to come eventually, almost guaranteed, even at the cost of a pawn, to reactivate that piece.
This entire game has been about knight moves, start to finish. All the decisive moments have involved a knight move. For Magnus, finding knight takes pawn, but at the wrong time. For Vincent, retreating with the knight, the wrong square.
Exactly. And now it's going to be the bishops that come and steal the show, as Magnus's bishop on e3 is now the MVP, targeting b6.
I mean, Ivanka, think about it, right? You do this entire journey with the knight only to give itself up at the wrong moment, go into a dead loss position, but then your opponent returns the favor.
Yeah. Well, that's life. Going back to our bird's eye view, we also see that the other boards are also looking extremely exciting. We have Ali Reza pressing against Prag, the valuation bar in his favor. Gukesh inching ever forward as Wesley has gone for that solid defense, that passive defense. He's in full control there. And Bibi Sara, she's still hanging on against Zhugenet, but if we trust the evaluation bars, we're going to be seeing 4 decisive games.
Do you mean 2? Oh, my prediction, I'm not so sure about the 2 anymore. Yeah, and in the meantime, it does look like an Armageddon also soon to start. So action galore incoming. It's going to be mad time scrambles on every board.
You know, I'm kind of really happy about my prediction of 2 Armageddons suddenly. I feel like the 2 Armageddons already done. The bar all over the place on all the other 4 boards. Guess who might be winning the prediction games today, boys and girls?
No. Oh no, it's always...
It's a repeat of 2025. I feel it in my bones, where it goes between Tanya and David, and I'm just sat there.
It'll come your way one day, Yovi.
Yeah, well, there's still time. There's still time. And we have the Armageddon to look forward to as well. We're going to keep a close eye on that one, as that game is soon to begin. But where should we cast our eyes on next?
Oh, the bar has just gone sky high in the Zhugenet against Bibisara game on the bottom left. That's been winning for white for a long time. She just needs to find the killer blow, the breakthrough. Black is actually, 2 pawns up in that position, despite having a lost middle game there. Firouzja, though, against Pragnananda, that looks like it's going to be a long grind. And Prag is... Oh, maybe we jump there. Prag's just given up a pawn.
Yeah.
Given a question mark as well. Desperation from the Indian Grandmaster. Doesn't have much time either. 2 minutes. He's about to get the increment at least. But what is the idea? C5.
And he grabs it. He instantly grabs it. Prog trying to open up the bishop, but how is he combining it with the rook, the b6 square under control? Why did Prog just give up an entire pawn in this endgame?
Yeah, if we go back, I think it's because White's about to play knight c3 and just win this isolated pawn. And we talked to, I mean, I joked that e4 was almost isolated earlier. It's properly isolated now, and these two pawns separated. The best would have been apparently to play g5, but a sad endgame anyway.
I think what Prog could be hoping for, and it's on the board right now, to get that rook to that b file. I think the only way to do it, b6, he's creating counterplay. He's changing the nature of the position, and practically that does make sense. He's down to a minute and a half. Pawn takes pawn, rook takes pawn. At least you're getting closer towards getting rid of the pawns, creating counterplay against your opponent.
Well, they do say in order to save an endgame, you do need to have an active rook. So if you apply that, I guess it makes sense. But White does have the fairly elementary defense that after c takes b6, you can defend b2 by playing b4.
Now, just to show that b4, and White is still a healthy pawn up. Black rook's still got to go passive, still got to go back. Not good news for Prag.
Not at all. Not a happy endgame, and no time on the clock as well, but he's just one move away, so almost there to make it to time control, where extra 10 seconds are added every move. But Firouzja in driver's seat, about to get his second win at Norway Chess
Racing.
in the Classical.
And if he does that, he'd race to 6 points, and that's a very healthy lead over his rivals. Already just 2 rounds in.
I mean, speaking of races, you know the guy who stopped Lewis Hamilton from winning his 8th World Championship, and Magnus Carlsen trying to win his 8th Norway Chess. We know the guy who got him to, well, at least put a roadblock on that. Alireza being a bit of Max Verstappen here.
Exactly. Speedy guy, speeding to 6 points if he can wrap this one up. I agree. Just taking this pawn and then pushing b4 looks very logical. Maybe there are other options here for White, but maybe we zoom out as well. This will go on for a while. Prag will get that increment. Will we see any other games reach an early conclusion?
Well, we do also have the Armageddon game between Divya and Humpy in operation. That's still very much early days, so we focus on the classical games where the clocks are ticking down. And Gukesh is coming forward in his game. He's gotten rid of the dark square bishops, and now it's just about inching forward. It doesn't matter whether that game takes 50 moves to win or 20 moves. The result feels like it's inevitable.
Yeah, Wesley's having to push for pawns forward, weaken his own king just to get some squares. And the best way to defend against the queen is a fortress, but you don't get fortresses if you have to push your pawns forward. They become harder to protect. So Wesley in a desperate position there, looking up, praying for a miracle. It does feel like Gukesh is very, very close to a win, although maybe the final touch will be improving the black knight or creating a pass pawn. That's the top right blue board there. Elsewhere, Zuzhina on the bottom left has lost her advantage. That one, I mean, it's just anything can happen. It feels like mad time scramble approaching. Where to jump next? Where should we dive a bit deeper?
Wow, Zuzhina with 3.5 minutes, down with the number of pawns, but up on the position. You know, we've done a roundup of that. I say we go back to the Magnus board with Vincent still struggling there. 6 minutes on the clock. Magnus about 5 minutes. No increment so far. Should we go back to that one?
Yep, let's head there, because the big question is, can Magnus grab that pawn on b6? It's there, ripe for the taking. And if he does that, then it's just a case of holding back any form of black initiative on the king side, and then just slowly advancing as a team on the queen side.
Yeah, he's got to take that pawn. I think the biggest positional mistake here would be to take the knight with White's bishop. And I just think it's more important to create a pass pawn right now, unless there are any immediate threats against the White king. Taking this knight would give Black chances of getting a good knight versus bad bishop scenario, therefore he does take, but apparently a big mistake from Magnus Carlsen. He's lost the advantage, and now Vincent Keymer needs to just give up the exchange, needs to realize rook takes bishop is a saving resource. That is so difficult.
But how does it even save it, David? Because you can just
Take it.
take it.
I think we have to dive in. We have to show this while Vincent thinks he's got just under 6 minutes to realize here that he needs to get rid of that dark squared bishop. This is deflection at its very best. Rook takes bishop now. If the white queen takes, I think we can see that queen g5 is really scary for white to deal with. No good way to defend this pawn. You probably have to bring your rook back because queen to f2, and this is suddenly a fork on the white king and queen. But the difficult part is rook takes rook, and after... Oh, wow, I was going to say queen g5 again, but white will just dodge that threat. Apparently knight to d3, hitting the queen.
Queen e3?
The queen has to keep protection with the rook, and now knight c5 severs the connection, hits the bishop, hits the rook. Game on.
Stunning.
Just like you said, a knight's tale.
It's been a nightmare, this game. It's unbelievable. The knight is just deciding everything, but that last position with the knight going forward, then coming back for a double attack, that's insane. Oh my god, OMG, rook b6, knight d3, knight c5. Completely agree with that. That is an OMG moment.
Wow.
Does he find it?
I mean, the eval bar says 0.0 after that, but if that happens, anything is possible. Like, that could turn in Vincent's favor. Magnus could spiral. Magnus could still win with that passed b pawn. Anything could happen, but Vincent has to take that bishop. If not, white's b pawn will kill him long term.
And maybe that's what. It's going to be the lack of options that's going to make Vincent play that move. Everything else he knows is losing anyway. And the fact that he's paused, he hasn't gone on to just move the queen somewhere. Vincent Keymer needs to find this sacrifice to save this game. It looks like he's reaching for the queen, David.
No, he's reaching for the knight. He misses this golden opportunity. Let's face it, rook takes bishop is only easy if you spot it.
I think Magnus spotted it. Did you see the relief on his face?
That's the second time Magnus has looked visibly relieved after his opponent's moves. I think he realized he should have earlier taken with his own rook, Magnus. Bishops were more important there, but knight c7 isn't even threatening anything. The rook is not hit. There's still a pin on it. So Magnus has a move or two to get out of threats. Like putting his king in the corner, getting out of this queen g5 idea. That looks like a key idea. c5 at some point, blow it open the other bishop. Magnus now is back in the driver's seat, but he's doing it the hard way.
Oof. Unbelievable. Knight blunders indeed defining this game and somehow coming from Vincent's side in those critical moments. But I have to say, rook takes bishop, an incredibly hard move to find, especially the follow-up with the knight d3, knight c5 sequence.
Yeah, it's only easy if you're looking for it. And rook takes b6 would have been a bolt from the blue, but hasn't been found. Now, still, I think there's still work to be done because the idea is still very much there in the air. Knight d3, queen to g5.
I really have a feeling that Magnus spotted it. With the reaction that he had on camera right after, it was hard to find, but Magnus knew that he had let slip for just that one moment.
Yeah, he knew, he realized, and I think he's recovering from that shock, Magnus, but he doesn't have much time to recover. Magnus has 3 minutes, under 3 minutes now, to make 4 moves before he gets any increment. So still blunder territory if he's not careful. If he takes his eye off the ball, moves his rook, for example, those types of tactics could still happen. He has to be so alert now to the tricks.
And queen g5 is coming in. That queen and the knight are going to combine with ideas against the g2 and the h3 spots around the white king. So Magnus has to be active and not that much time on the clock.
Also, there's got to be one thing said. The bishop on b3 is a very poor piece. If for some reason, a knight were to establish itself on c5, I think Vincent is active enough to hold white's forces at bay.
Yeah. I have a feeling Magnus is going to sidestep any of those ideas on the G line by simply taking time out and moving his king to either the h2 or the h1 square. He's reaching for the other side of the board.
Looked like he was going for his rook.
He does?
Ooh, rook back to a2. Okay, that's the only good square, I think, because it does indirectly defend the g2 pawn. So now that tactic that we saw earlier, rook takes bishop, queen takes, and then the black queen coming out, doesn't do anything. It doesn't create any threats. White has all the bases covered. So, okay, if he was going to move the rook, that was the best square.
Oof.
Now Vincent's turn to try and work something out of nothing. He's a pawn down.
Yeah. And he knows that the clock is his best friend, so he needs to make some decisions fast so he can put pressure on Magnus's clock. Some tempting options. You can bring your knight forward to d3, hit the white queen, get your queen active. But whatever Vincent decides, do it quickly. He's reaching for the queen, queen to g5, knight takes pawn, a big threat.
Huge threat right now has to be dodged. Knight takes h3 would be a fork. Magnus gets out the way. He's got everything protected right now. The rook defending g2 is so important.
One gets the feeling that Magnus is in control now. You know, the rooks come back to defend. He's won a pawn. Bishop's happy. Black's pieces completely discoordinated. No big attack.
Yeah, we've seen him be in a decent position before, though, so there might still be one last surprise in this game. The clock is going to play a huge role, that's for sure. Magnus down to under 2 minutes. They will get increment in 2 moves. But Vincent, he just needs to set one last trap and hope. But what is it? Bishop e3 is almost guaranteed to come next, and Magnus is going to realign his army and put them back into perfect defensive positions.
Might be tempted if you're black to get the other knight towards the center of the board. Just try and keep that f4 square consolidated.
He brings the other knight into the game, and of course Magnus places that bishop back to e3.
If only he played knight e6 a few moves earlier. That was the downfall of Vincent Keymer. The other tactic, rook takes bishop, was so hard. Rook takes b6. Very forgivable to make that type of mistake. But yeah, now what next? Magnus will try and break through with c5 at some point, or maybe push his pawn further forward, b6.
Also, just one move away from making it to move 40 is Magnus Carlsen. The queen comes back. Vincent, is he trying to get the g-pawn moving up the board at some point? Just trying to create some chances on the king side.
Well, he sounded the retreat, actually, because it's very difficult to make any inroads whatsoever on the right side of the board, whereas Magnus is going to be so quick with advancing the b-pawn and then just pushing through. And, of course, Magnus being Magnus, plays safety first chess, consolidates there before he's going to turn his attention to the queen side. And meanwhile, in the other games, I'm just saying that there's gonna be decisive results all around. Alireza Firouzja looks like he is in business mode against Pragnananda. A win would net him 6 points and make sure and keep his 100% score intact. Whereas Gukesh taking over against Wesley, so as we expected. And Bibi Sara against Jujiner, well, there's been a massive turnaround there, and Bibi Sara now is in full control and is dominating.
And Divya completely crushing it in her second Armageddon against Humpy as well. As you mentioned, Alireza Firouzja is a whole pawn up in that endgame top left. David, excitement all around. We're going to have potentially 4 decisive games. Where should we go?
Oh, it's so difficult. I'm almost tempted to stay here for a while to see where the next bar swing occurs. The players are on seconds, though. Firouzja, top left, that green board, he's a pawn up.
Yes.
I don't see any real counterplay for Prag. It looks like it will still go on for quite a long time, but almost inevitable that Firouzja should win, barring a big blunder. Magnus, I think just because they're on seconds, might be tempting. Gukesh, yeah, that's going to go on for a while, but he should be able to beat the fortress there. I'm so shocked about that bottom left board. Bibi Sara now 2 pawns up, clearly better. A huge turnaround. And Divya against Humpy, probably the first one to finish that Armageddon. But do we jump there, or do we stay with the classical?
Humpy's got 30 seconds on the clock. Let's do a quick trip there and then move back up.
Let's do it. And let's just quickly show why Divya is winning. It's basically because of the A-pawn. The passed A-pawn is a runner. Once the knight steps out the way, almost impossible to stop that one. White has a pawn advantage, beautiful control with the knights, and the white king also has a route, if it wants, towards the queen side.
Just looking very simple, right? You've got this direct path in, the A-pass. So as you're saying, I don't think there's any coming back for Humpy, even if she had an hour on her clock in this position.
No.
No, and Humpy doesn't have any time either. 30 seconds on the clock. Divya in full control here. So Divya, it's early days, but she's getting a reputation as being the Armageddon queen.
It's like she's
2
got
wins.
Humpy's number, right? In the World Cup final as well, taking her down. Well, this looks like a Divya win, but let's jump straight back, David, to the other action. Time pressure territory all around.
Yeah, let's go to Magnus against Vincent, because things could really turn every moment here. Magnus looks like everything is under control and it's just about massaging that advantage on the left side of the board. Queen to e6, given a question mark, but Vincent just down to his last seconds.
Whoa!
Magnus trading queens, but now Vincent has better chances of a fortress. It's going to be hard to break through since White's light squared bishop is so bad. Magnus actually had a win on the spot that last move. Magnus could have pretty much delivered checkmate Just to very quickly show this, one move ago, instead of trading queens, a bit of panic from Magnus. He could have given a check, kicked the king forward, and now just removed a defender. Black's best piece is this knight on f4. He could have taken it, and after a recapture, queen h5. Checkmate ends the game. This king is defenseless. You can't even bring the queen across to defend because a check would deflect the king away, another check, and the queen would fall. Magnus could have ended the game on the spot. A capture, a check, and a mate. But instead, going into an endgame that suddenly isn't so clear anymore.
And that wasn't even the hardest line to find, right? It felt like a very natural response in the position. And now, for Vincent, he can set up his other knight coming back to e6 and just say, yes, you have an extra pawn, but where are you making progress with 2 double pawns? One on the G line, one on the C line. Oof. What are these pawns even worth?
Yeah, this is not easy at all. Knights are fantastic. We said it earlier, against doubled pawns. Knights are fantastic. Our chat's there saying that Magnus was plus 3.9. I think it was even more than that if he'd spotted that check and kept the queens on the board.
And look at the confidence with which Vincent is responding now and the speed with which he's doing. You can get rid of one of those 2 knights. At the end, you'll be left with knight versus bishop, and black will have the better minor piece.
That is true, but one can understand Magnus is thinking. He's so good at the end game. He's thinking he's got a pass pawn. It doesn't really matter whether you win in 100 moves or 50 moves. A win is a win. And this one is still one-way traffic.
Yeah, the problem is if black is ever able to get his rook to the A file to challenge or swap the rooks, if the rooks disappear, it's a fortress. There's no way through for white. No pawn breaks, no entry points. Black's king will happily sit in front of the white pass pawn on the B file. Draw immediately. White's C2 bishop is dead.
In fact, how does white even improve the position?
You can't. It feels like a fortress right now.
Right.
I don't really see a way. You can get your king all the way up there, but then that's firstly a really long path, David. Black has enough time to set up some trading ideas. He's getting the king to c7. He'll drive the rook back to b8. Fight for that a file. Magnus has no way to improve this. Chess is hard indeed confirmed with the kind of roller coaster this game has been.
Yeah.
With 2 of the absolute best right now. The player in the hottest form and the world #1.
Exactly. I think Armageddon would be a fair way to decide this because both players have had big chances. Both players have missed chances. Magnus has been far from his best in this game. And ultimately, Vincent's found the right plan to draw. He's going to play rook to b8 next. If there's no trade, if the black rook isn't traded off, it might just become very, very active.
He's doing it. He's going to come back with the rook. And if the white rook falls back, the king steps sideways one more time, and the rook slides on the A line. One way or the other, Magnus will lose control of the A file. Bring that rook forward, keep chasing it away.
And just to confirm, Divya did win her game against Humpy Canaru.
Very impressive from Divya. And much as I love the grind like a grandmaster quote there from our featured chat, it does feel like a difficult one to grind. It might not have that much life in it. Vincent Keymer is going to be able to hold this fortress if he's accurate. As it says there, Innocent Grey. Looking much more confident now, Vincent Keymer.
But Vincent now goes the other side with his king. He's trying to keep the right flank defended. Magnus gets the king all the way up.
Well, the best the king can hope for is getting to b4.
And then what?
And then what?
Next?
Well, you kind of hope that there would be another flank as well to attack. But Magnus is being tricky, you know. He's saying with his rook, look how he's positioned it on a1. There's options. You can go h1. You can try to infiltrate on the right side of the board. But still, the clock is a factor.
It's a factor, only 10-second increment.
Vincent yesterday made so many moves with just 1 second left on the clock. That kind of brinksmanship, living life on the edge, can come back to haunt you, especially if you're under pressure for a long time. Magnus tries a new angle. He needs a second front. He's tried the queen side. He's
5
got the pass
seconds.
pawn.
4, 3, make a move.
Vincent, panic. Does bring his king forward. Good move. But still, he has to keep surviving. And black's knights are frozen. His rook is going to have to go passive. Magnus goes in. Ooh, some threats potentially on the 6th rank, but pawn's also under fire.
But he's got no time. Vincent just has to play really fast. Make a move, Vincent.
Make a move.
With 1 second on the clock.
That was a very practical move. Moving the piece closest to the clock. Rook a8.
Okay, Magnus is going to start hitting some pawns. Magnus might be able to win a pawn if he comes across and back. Maybe a second pawn drops.
And now you have to go on the defense. He does it laterally, but now the rook slides one step forward. David, your idea, bishop takes pawn. How are you defending it?
I don't think you can stop a second pawn dropping. It's not the best bishop to trade off, so Magnus might be reluctant to capture that second pawn. Still miles away from creating a pass pawn, but that's progress. That's a new question for Vincent Keymer to answer.
Yeah, 2 pawns feels like 1 pawn too many against Magnus Carlsen. He usually needs 0 pawns to win an endgame. He does go for the idea. Vincent Keymer feeling the pressure on the clock and the board. Second pawn about to go down. I just feel like Vincent failed to find the correct plan against this rook infiltration from the other side of the board.
And just to update you, was a draw between Jujuna and BB Sara, so we're going to be seeing Armageddon there.
Wow, that was a real roller coaster game. White was winning, then black was winning, and a draw. And we'll see them again soon. Nobody able to win in those classical games so far.
And Magnus just hesitating a little bit before giving up that beautiful bishop. He doesn't need to rush by taking that pawn. Nothing's defending it anytime soon.
Yeah. But big news. Alireza Firouzja has just defeated Pragnananda, so he maintains his 100% score, moves to 6 points. What a game. What a player. And doing it with his leg elevated.
It's really something else. I mean, we keep talking about how, you know, a beast is dangerous, but a wounded beast is an even more dangerous one. And Alireza literally taking that phrase to the board.
He's elevating his chess up to the next level. Alireza, what a start for him. Both games he's won with white, so it will get tougher. But the most perfect start you could imagine. Who can keep pace with Alireza Firouzja? He might even have a huge lead. He's guaranteed to be in the lead. It might be a big, big one ahead of round 3. If neither of these two players is able to win in the classical. Magnus, though, advancing his king. Looks dangerous, but his king should be safe enough.
He's playing on all sides of the board, Magnus is. All of black's pieces on the defense. The pawns are extremely weak. The king goes down. If white's king moves forward, Vincent relying on a check on the A-line.
Magnus is going to try and tie Vincent up again, make him as passive as possible before advancing his king. Only move, rook to f8. That's not an easy defense. It looks like the most passive square imaginable.
But the other way around, you put it on d7, that's when Magnus's king goes forward, and you just cannot let that happen. So keep the game going. You have to play the rook behind the pawn. And he does it.
Yeah, process of elimination, a good decision by Vincent Keymer. Magnus still yet to find the breakthrough. His c2 bishop is just so bad, that light squared bishop. Totally stuck. Bit one-dimensional now.
Is he going to go rook f6?
And now not so easy to win that g5 pawn. He comes the other way around.
Okay, the king stops the rook from infiltrating. That was the only move, again, from Vincent Keymer. Defending really well right now. The only safe square for the king to use. Magnus is now down to 10 seconds and goes back. Allowing the position to repeat if Vincent wants, just for the second time.
Yeah, but add up some seconds on the clock. Just make the move fast. And if the rook comes to f5, your pawn defends it. You're not even losing a pawn anymore. He does it.
What do we think? Is there going to be one last swing still in this game?
f6 defend that pawn. He places it on f6 instead. He doesn't attack the g5 pawn. I think a lot of twists and turns ahead, David. This isn't over.
I think Magnus is not going to let this game be over until he has tried every single resource going. So I suspect the rook will slide over to h6 to keep active. No, he drops it back to f5, f6.
Push that pawn, defend your pawn.
Keep everything protected.
Under control. One gets the feeling that Vincent has once again found a defensive structure, a fortress here.
Exactly. Vincent's done everything right, and this could turn. Like, if Vincent's rook ever gets active and comes in, suddenly Magnus might be on the defensive. So here, you have to be a little bit careful. Magnus is hoping to get over to the queenside, though. I think this is the threat for now, to infiltrate. You might need to just put a knight in the way. Put a knight on c5. That's been the formation. That's been the blockade.
And use your king to guard all the squares on the A-line. He puts it, but this time the other knight comes in. And rook a1, you can slide your king over one more time. Magnus running out of ideas.
He's rook a1. The king is going to cover the infiltration point. That's been the mechanism so far. Are we going to see the rook go to the other open line? Yes, it does.
Everything for black defends. Each of the pieces are playing a fantastic role. The pawns hold each other, the knights defending each other, the rook needed to come to defense, doing a fantastic job. The rook comes in, bishop takes knight could be a potential threat.
Ooh, suddenly it's getting tactical. Vincent, I think, missed this bishop knight versus bishop pair versus knight pair, but one of the bishops might be trading off, and now Magnus can change the pawn structure if he wants. Bishop takes knight, that will force a pawn to take back, but then it's good knight versus bad bishop, and dark square blockade. Is Magnus going to take? Black's got a threat.
He does.
He's changed the nature of the position. The king comes back, and the problem with Magnus's pawn formation is that light squared bishop never finds life.
Ooh, there's no way into the game for that piece.
No. But Vincent does have to be careful about ideas of Magnus improving his position and at the right time perhaps activating this bishop by just jettisoning the pawn on b5.
I think he might be setting that up, Jovanka. Put that bishop on a4, sidestep, and then give a check. Give up that pawn at the right moment. And Vincent, I think he heard you. He said not happening.
Not on his watch.
The question now is, if Vincent just moves back and forth, does White have a winning plan by moving forward with his king? Is that progress? Vincent slides.
Okay, well now you can put the bishop to a4. Not a very subtle threat, but it's there.
This is what we call the perfect fortress, right? That you can continue repeating the moves without changing any other piece, and your opponent still can't make progress. So has he found the perfect fortress?
He might well have done. He can put his king on b6 and just move his rook back and forward. Magnus actually stops the black rook coming in now. Doesn't want to allow any counterplay at all.
Now the knight could come into the game, put some pressure on the c4 pawn.
Pawn undefended. Could Vincent start playing for more? Not yet. Magnus defends. This looks so drawn now. So fortress-esque.
What a completely crazy game this has been, start to finish. All the knight maneuvers, the knight jumps, the blunders, the counter blunders, the sacrifices.
What a game. Magnus will be so upset with himself, though, for not winning this game. To take the queens off in that position when he pretty much had a forced checkmate, that he will look back on with regret. But Armageddon looks like it awaits. In the meantime, it looks like Wesley so against Gukesh could also go to Armageddon. Rook goes back.
So Wesley making a comeback in his game, just like Vincent is.
It's not easy to play when the clock is ticking down and you just have seconds. So Magnus taking the wrong decision in going into this particular endgame. Also the same with Gukesh blundering a piece and allowing Wesley a defensive fortress. But the question is, can Magnus break through?
It feels like all the longest games of Norway chess are going to have Vincent Keymer on one side of the board. Another 100-mover coming up.
Oh, I remember one year commentating on the Tata Steel Masters, Vaikanze, and 3 days in a row, Vincent Keymer played over 7 hours. And I just thought, that's my chess karma. I've tortured so many commentators by playing long games, and now Vincent is taking over that mantle. But yeah, he loves to kind of play these endgames and learn these endgames, and such a good player. Now it's a total fortress. The Black King can just move. D8, C8, no way through for White.
And he's also managed to get a few extra seconds on the clock, and that just speaks of the confidence that he's feeling in his position. He's making the moves fast. The king shuffles around. No entry point, and you can see it on Magnus. He offers a draw, and that is it. Vincent Keymer takes it to Armageddon.
An Armageddon in store for Magnus Carlsen and Vincent Keymer. That's just around the corner. But disappointment there for the world #1 as he finds himself taking the wrong decision. And we move on to the game between Wesley So and Gukesh. It's now rook, knight, queen, pawn. This also looks as fortressy-like as possible.
Should be a fortress, but of course only Gukesh can win. And Wesley will have to put his pieces on the right squares. If he's a bit kind of complacent here and puts his pieces on loose squares, we could see some tactics. There are checkmating patterns around the White King. It's not going to be easy.
Not at all. And the king, knight, and rook need to stay compact with each other and make sure that the f-pawn doesn't start moving up the board. So you have to control the f5 square. Keep your pieces defended with each other, doing a bit of work to make that happen. But I feel like Wesley's figured it out because he's already on the right side of the board.
Right, and he's just simply just moving and waiting with his king. as long as the king has a nice connection with the rook and the knight and keeps an eye on the f5 square so there can be no pawn advances, everything is nicely controlled. The queen comes and gives a check. He's just going to drop the king back. Not easy for Gukesh to make progress.
He's going to try for another 45 moves, and then he might play the move f6. And then he's going to try another 45 moves. I think the key at some point will be trying to play f6 and king g5 while the black queen defends the f5 square. And there we go. He does push the pawn already, doesn't want to hang around. And if he can play queen d3, king g5, force the white rook back, then we might see some progress. But for now, the white rook will stand its ground. It has some checks to give. There we go. It's hard. It's hard here to see black breaking through.
But it still feels like this Wesley hold is more tough than the Vincent hold. You still have to be precise as white, and Gukesh can try this for a really long time. It doesn't feel like the perfect fortress just yet.
Not yet.
The king coming the other way around now towards the center of the board.
Yeah, great attempt. Always try new angles. That's the way to beat the fortresses. If it doesn't work from one side, go the other side. This is frustrating, though, for Gukesh. He has to hang on to his pawn. There we go.
Defends it with the queen.
The white knight is just so well placed. Covering the king, covering squares, defending the rook in many lines, stopping the pawn moving. He's just got to move his king back and forth, back and forth.
Back and forth, back and forth. And the thing is, once you have that defensive mechanism worked out, you can play those moves quickly as well. And the rook and the knight just working so well together, and knight is the king's best friend. As long as the king stays within this whole circuit of h3, g2, Wesley knows exactly what he has to do.
You really feel that way, right? Because he's got almost an extra minute on the clock. He's playing so fast, so confidently, and I think Gukesh will realize that his king, all the way marched up to the center of the board, hasn't achieved anything. Zilch. Might be time to come back and try something different. Get that king to g5 now.
Oh, Gukesh doesn't have much time either. I think he needs his queen on this diagonal, and then his king to play king e5.
You want to stop all the rook checks.
Yeah, I want to stop all the rook checks. At the moment, king e5 would allow the white rook to kick it away. But you need to cover the light squares with the queen, and then the king needs to be the one breaking the blockade. Not easy yet.
Not easy. And also the question for Wesley is how, not Wesley, but Gukesh, how hard should he try? Because if it's a draw, as we're expecting, he then has to play an Armageddon.
The one thing we know about Gukesh, he's going to play this out until the very end. We might be sitting here tomorrow commentating on this classical game.
I mean, he played 144 moves yesterday in classical. Now they're nearly at 100. Could we see him break his own record from yesterday?
I say 200.
You're not being paid in number of moves, Gukesh.
He's a fighter.
Exactly. But I love to see it, personally. I love the grind. I love to see these players. It's like a good tennis battle. They're going 5 sets. They're going to tie breaks. They're going to really wear each other down stamina-wise. And yesterday, he had more stamina than Vincent Keymer. He's younger than Wesley. Maybe he'll feel that the longer the game goes, the more chances he'll have in the Armageddon.
Yeah, that's a great point. The odds go more towards him. The more fatigue and endurance become a factor here. We saw that how it played out in his game against Vincent. He has managed to get the king to the other side. As long as the f-pawn is alive, Gukesh plays this on. Wesley's doing everything to stop any pawn moves, gets the rook back. It's a maneuvering game. The aim is to sacrifice your queen for the rook and the knight. If you can set that up, and then the king moves forward.
Yeah, it's risky, I thought, this idea, but the pin does allow the white king to defend the rook. But that is the idea, to play queen back, at some point to take either the knight or the rook, get to that winning king and pawn endgame, but not all of those will be winning. Gukesh has to move. He slides across, queen c4.
No threat just yet. But these moves are tricky because you're not threatening anything, but white needs to be careful. Rook f4 isn't possible anymore. That was the square that Wesley was relying on for his rook.
And he wants to bring his queen back. And if the white king, after the rook retreats, is ever forced back, then the black king can start advancing, coming down the board. Okay, we'll see him give a check now, I believe, Gukesh. And Wesley's only move, will it be to go forward with his king?
But he's got 10 seconds. He's under 10 seconds now, Gukesh. He does give a check.
There we go. Which way is Wesley going? Forward or back?
Up he goes.
I wasn't sure about that.
And How many moves since f6 was played?
Good question. That was move 88. So they've now made 14 moves. 36 more moves, Gukesh, to push his pawn to f5. It's almost a reverse of roles from yesterday. Same story.
Yeah. And incidentally, I came to the playing hall with an arbiter and I asked him the question, like, if you claim incorrectly a 50 move, does the arbiter give you any information as to how many moves are remaining? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
No information is given.
Only whether it's accepted or rejected, the appeal. So the magic number for Wesley today is 138. Is that correct?
138.
And that's when he can claim a draw.
Needs to survive another 34 moves. So far, so good, though. Wesley doing everything right to hold back the black pawn, to hold back the black king, as importantly.
And to think this is Gukesh's second queen and pawn endgame.
At least this time he has a queen.
This time on the right side.
Yeah, yesterday was a grind and a grovel.
At least this time he has the pawn as well. The only one with the winning chances. Without the pawn, immediate draw.
But I'm very impressed with the speed with which Wesley's responding. You know, he hasn't come down under a minute so far. Because you really want to be able to play against your opponent's clock as well in these kind of positions.
Yeah, he's not hesitating. He's simply shuffling the rook. And he knows, you know, as Tanya pointed out, the rook, the knight, the king, they're all within touching distance of each other.
Gukesh is asking, he's provoking Wesley to try and chase up his pawn. And I do wonder whether at some point Wesley might just stop just trying to hold the fortress and try to be more aggressive in his attempts to end the game immediately with a draw.
And that's really interesting because after that move, you can't go f5. There are tactics in the position. The knight is coming in with some big forks as well.
Oh, he didn't go for the immediate fork. Okay, sometimes in the back of your mind, when you don't force a draw immediately, you start to think, oh, could I have forced it there? Could I have forced it there? Wesley's found a technique he thinks is enough, and he's sticking to it.
Gives a check, comes back. Yeah, just don't divorce your pieces from each other and you're good.
Oh, I love the terminology. Exactly. The rook, the knight, the king have to stay in this together.
Don't say it, David Howell.
Nearly did. Here we go. Gukesh is coming back around the other side with his king this time. But he's been here before. Didn't work last time either.
No, and rook f3 is going to be the response just like before.
Okay.
No progress as of yet.
What should he try? Centralized queen.
It's impossible to push that f-pawn.
The white king is the one that should wait. The white rook and knight are perfectly placed.
28 more moves for Wesley So.
Getting closer, almost halfway to that 50 move rule. He blocks the pawn. Okay, now it feels like time just to pin. Threaten in some positions to take this knight. I don't think it's a threat immediately, but just take squares away from the white rook, the white king.
And while this is a mammoth fight, let's remind everyone there's another huge fight coming up, Yovi.
Yep, we are going to be seeing Armageddon. First up, between Zuzana and Bibisara Asaubeavia, and that will be followed by Magnus Carlsen against Vincent Keymer.
It's quite a menu we have.
Yeah, feels like the day's just beginning. So much chess still ahead. But okay, he's crossed the 5th rank. This is the furthest the Black King has come without getting checked away. And it will try to travel further if it does continue getting checked.
It's going to get checked.
Oh, is he going to go to the center?
He comes forward.
Oh, that's such a tricky spot to play because knight f5 would have been a fork. You know, your hands are always shaking to put the geometry between the king and the queen when there's a knight on the board.
You could put your knight on the square, throw away the rook, check. But unfortunately, you can't do that both at once.
But the problem is that the rook and the knight are kind of creating a force field around the white king so that there's no way for Gukesh, even with his king and queen in the action, to separate white's forces.
He's trying though. He gets the queen to attack the rook, but the king is too far away. Did you see Wesley checking the move number there, but finding no help? What do you think? What are the chances of a second wrong claim of Norway chess?
Pretty high, I would say. I mean, we're currently on how many moves? We're on 116 moves.
28, 128.
128.
Is the number he wants to get to. And, okay, it was actually 138 is he needs to get to. And, oh,
He played king to c4. Gukesh offered a draw. Wesley takes it. We're off to an Armageddon.
Wow, no false claims there. He didn't need it. What a defense from Wesley, so.
What a defense. A draw, another Armageddon. So, we had Ali Reza with the only classical win of the round. Everyone else drew Armageddon time. But whilst the players are just setting up the pieces, analysing, we are going to go on a short break. When we return, of course, it is none other than Armageddon time. So hold on to your seats. It's going to be epic.
Divya, you look nervous going into that Armageddon. How does it feel with this format? Is it nerve-wracking?
It is nerve-wracking to some extent, mainly because I was wide today, so I needed to get the right kind of position to push. And at the opening, it didn't go so well for me, but then I think after a point, it got well, also on the time.
How much fun are you having with the Armageddon games after a classical?
A lot of fun. I love the Armageddon. I am actually also having fun with classical because we don't have any increment, and it's the first time for me, so I would say it's really fun.
Thank you so much.
No worries, thank you.
Alireza, when we came into this tournament, we were thinking that playing with a or sprained ankle is almost impossible. You're in pain, you get tired, but you're proving that it's just a boost.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a boost, but I'm trying to play chess, and I mean, I have a lot of pain, but it's it's something that keeps me like focused, you know. It's just like it makes me to not think about pain.
Are you having fun playing so far in Norway chess?
Yeah.
And yesterday you really praised Chepa for the opening advice. Was it a plan today with what you guys had thought about in advance?
Not today, not sure, but it was a decent game. But I don't think opening was something special.
Thank you so much, Alireza, and congratulations.
We are back, and just like that, it is Armageddon time. We're going to begin with these two players, Zhu Jiner playing against Bibisara Salbeva. Zhuzhina started with 10 minutes, Bibisara 7 minutes, but Bibisara is the one playing with draw odds. The action has already started, so let's dive in and follow along.
I just want to point out straight up that white has an extra pawn, and I believe it was the A pawn that was won, but Bibisara's coming in with some big ideas there on the king side, with the bishop ready to line up with some checkmating threats on h2. White's got to be a little careful.
Definitely. She's feeling nervous about her king. That's why she retreated a bishop. Any check could be deadly, so for now she has everything covered. I would say the other thing that Zhuzhina might not like is the position of her bishop. The white dark square bishop's a bit locked out for now, but if it ever is able to get back into the game and trade off for the black dark square bishop, pawn up should be decisive. White's knight as well on d5, nice outpost. Does feel like Bibisara is fishing for some tricks here, but if she doesn't land one, then she's going down.
I think bishop to e5, that's the first trickster move that you've got, right? h2 under fire. How are you defending it? h3 looks incredibly weakening here. g3, it's on the board. You want to blunt the bishop. And are there any potential sacrifices?
I guess you have to go all in, right? As black. And really as black, Zhuzhina wants to be holding solid. She takes.
She does it.
And White's best move was not to take that knight back. White could have slid across with the queen, pinning that knight, and she would have bought herself a little bit more time. Now it's far from clear. Knight g5 is a big threat. Adding another piece into the mix. Knight into f4 sometimes. This is anyone's game. This is very hard to defend for White now, and we see that there's not only one Armageddon going to be played in this hall. Magnus getting ready as well.
He's trying to shake off the demons of the fact that he was winning against Vincent. Well, it finished in a draw. It will be Armageddon. The knight now comes in. 3 is the magic number. Zhuzhina has to get rid of that knight.
Yeah, and then again, that bishop, the problem piece for white on b6 still there. You watch out for ideas like rook to a6 and potentially even trapping that bishop in certain positions. Now that the knight is out of the way, you pick that up with your own bishop. Not so easy to detangle yourself as white here with the king unsafe and the bishop trapped on the other side.
This is huge. This position, oh, she offers a queen exchange. That is a great move. In some lines, black is going to try and hunt down that bishop. It might find itself falling off the board. So we see a check. Will we see a repetition, though?
You can't, right? I mean, you have to switch it up at some point if you're Zhuzhina. A draw is just not good enough. That's as good as resigning right now.
True. But what to do if she moves her king? The white queen is a bit vulnerable on this diagonal. The black rook could move, could start attacking the white queen here, and it could join the action, the black rook. Just with a few moves, it could lift itself up and start delivering some nasty checks. I don't think putting the king in the corner is the right hiding place.
No, but then if you block with the queen by stepping her up 1 square, again, there's still calculations that are needed because the bishop can come and give a check. Also, the queen can just sidestep anything, and the white king's still very vulnerable.
And she does come back. Does Zhuzhina, even Bibisara, give a check first, or will she just repeat the position once? A draw good enough to take the match. Bishop e3 or queen h4. She does go back, passing the ball. How are you going to switch this up? How will you play for a win with the white pieces in this position? A huge threat on e3 that needs to be stopped. A rook lift, rook to d3 is one way to do it.
Yeah, it has to be the rook now. She can't mess around with the queen and risk a repetition. She would lose the Armageddon with a draw. Therefore, she does use her rook. That was great, I think, mind games from Bibisara. Offering that repetition, just saying, okay, it's in the back of your mind now that with best play it might be a draw, but
bishop d8! You cannot play this.
Oh
Bishop comes in and it's a skewer.
It's a massive skewer. She's going to be up a rook now.
Oh my gosh, that is a potentially decisive turn. And ironically, she had to give up a rook for that bishop. She should have given up the other rook. She could have used her rook to trap that bishop. When it retreated to a5, she could have taken it, and then she could have started her rook lift, and it would have been a huge attack for black. But now she's left with the rook on a8, miles from the action.
I mean, this cannot be worth an entire rook. The attack feels like it's fizzled out. White queen and bishop defending the white king well. Right now you've got a threat on that b2 pawn, but you just defend it. You could also go rook to b1, rook to b3.
But the white king doesn't have too many defenders, and whilst the queens are still on the board, there is still a small chance.
She can't defend that pawn. Like rook b3 drops the knight. That's queen d4 check, and the knight drops. Rook b1 drops the a2 pawn. Suddenly the black rook gets in. this is not easy. She can't really safely defend her pawn. Last thing she wants to do is play knight b1. She's not Magnus Carlsen. She won't do that. Or will she?
Ooh, knight b1's such a counterintuitive move in this position. c4 is hanging as well.
No chance.
And the fact that you're up a rook, the bar should be through the roof. So it means that black has something to play for in this position. Once the queen comes in, the rook's about to swoop to a2. Magnus watching this game as intently.
Or is he napping? Who knows? We'll never find out till the cows come home. Magnus Carlsen. Rook to d1 is the choice, giving up more pawns, and suddenly black is better despite being a full rook down.
Unbelievable. Do you take the pawn on b2? Do you take the pawn on a2?
You introduce everyone to the party. Rook takes pawn, of course, that is played. Bibi Sara, she's a 3-time world blitz champion. She thrives in this type of complicated chess. Rook slides over, just like that. Suddenly, the evaluation bar is saying that black is better.
Oh, nasty checks in the air. That would cause some real traps for white. You can't block with the queen due to some nasty deflections there. There would have been bishop checks. And instead she pushes a pawn. In the meantime, we go to another titanic encounter. Magnus Carlsen against Vincent Keymer has just begun.
It has just started. Magnus, he's going to shake off the disappointment from the classical game, and he adopts a very quiet system. b3, e3, challenging now in the center. This is the type of position that Magnus really enjoys playing.
Right now, I don't know how much he's enjoying life after everything that's happened in the classical, but let's not forget there was a moment when Magnus Carlsen was also losing that game in one move had Vincent spotted the right square for the knight. It was an absolutely up and down battle, but Magnus definitely has to be the more disappointed one that this goes to an Armageddon.
Definitely. And although it's an interesting approach from Magnus, and he's now gaining tempi against the Black Queen, he's playing a system that Vincent Keymer is famous for, with colors reversed. Vincent, with white, loves playing this knight f3, e3, b3 stuff. He's been playing it for years and years, so I'm not so sure about Magnus' strategy using his own opponent's weapons against him. Vincent might just know everything there is to know, and he's about to move his queen probably back home, safer square. And Magnus still has to find a way to change the pawn structure, maybe, because black has more space.
And then Magnus will continue with bishop development, get his king to safety. At the right moment, you want to think about what you want to do with your d-pawn. Keep it as flexible as possible, or do you strike in the center with d4 if you're Magnus?
Yeah, that will be a big question. d4 might just lead to symmetry. But, okay, Vincent goes a different square with his queen. And now, watch out. Only move is knight to a6, stopping a knight fork. Given a question mark, though, because apparently white had a very strong move. White could have played e4 on the previous move. But that one was hard to spot.
And Vincent on the 6 minutes now. Magnus keeping that clock deficit going. Shah castle. Vincent wants to get his bishop on b7. You want to finish development. b6, bishop b7 seems like the idea. Get those moves in quickly.
Yeah.
Get those moves in quickly. Also, the question for Magnus remains, how is he going to develop his queen side? Is he going to offer a trade of queens? He's in a must-win situation. Is he going to step forward with the d-pawn, 1 square, 2 squares? Where is he going to activate his rook? And as you mentioned, Tanya, the pawn chain has arrived. a7, b6, c5. Black is making everything solid.
The bishop's coming out next, the rook's to the center of the board. The knight from a6 is the one piece you want to reroute, and Magnus stops the route. He stops knight b4, knight c6 towards the center of the board. Vincent continues with development, looking extremely healthy for Vincent right now in the position.
Yeah, and he hasn't been too slow, Vincent, to solve his opening troubles. He still has 5 minutes on the clock. Very healthy-looking position for the German Grandmaster. Magnus, he can't really play d4, becomes too symmetrical, too drawish. He can't play b4 yet, that square's too well covered. If no pawn breaks, maybe he just has to build up in a slow hedgehog structure here, put the pawn on d3, keep everything on the 3rd rank, and hope to lash out later, but here we go. He does offer a trade of queens. Magnus loves the endgame so much. It was a mistake in the previous game, the classical between these two, but is it a mistake here? Vincent also a very strong endgame player.
And he proved it in the last game, right? Holding the resilience that he showed against Magnus in a worse position, down a pawn, building a fortress. Classy stuff by Keymer.
Very classy. And decision time. Is it good to take the queens off the board? Or are we going to be seeing Vincent make another? Yes, of course, the queens come off. Black's very solid. I mean, but there is one thing I want to draw your attention to. White has a very good knight on b5. It holds this rook back on a8.
Ignore that.
There was a glitch in
The
our our notation, because of course this didn't happen. You can see on the cameras that Magnus is playing with all the rooks.
Yeah, one white rook suddenly disappeared, but Magnus's winning chances have not yet disappeared. He plays b4. He's trying to break out, changing the pawn structure, minority attack. These 2 pawns hitting black's 3 pawns. Makes a lot of sense.
Also, you can't grab twice on b4. There are tactics involved in the position. a7 will be weak. Also, ideas of the knight hanging at the end. So I don't think that's something that Vincent will go for. You need to solve the problem of the knight on a6. Once that's done, it's completely level.
I just want Vincent to take everything on b4, just so we see Magnus put a knight on a7 for the second time today. And I don't think I've ever seen a white knight on a7 live to tell the tale, and it might well do so. Okay, let's see Vincent. If he doesn't do that, what does he play? It feels like he might just pass, and whoop, he drops his knight back, but...
Not bad. I like it.
Yeah, doesn't allow Magnus to give him an isolated pawn. That's the thing. First a knight trade, and he'll always take back with a rook.
And I like that he solved the problem of his knight in the position, keeping his pawn formation intact. Whenever there's a trade on c5, you always take it with your rook. Keep the structure as healthy as possible. The material completely balanced. And look at that. Vincent wants more trades in the position, jumps forward with his knight. The bishops are about to come off.
But Magnus has another weapon up his sleeve that we have to factor in, and that's the clock. He has a healthy time advantage. He's preserved that one, and he's got the type of position where he can just simply keep on making non-committal moves and keep forcing Vincent to use up time.
But Yovi, you've got to be impressed with the speed with which Vincent is responding so far. He comes back, he centralizes the knight. Is Vincent getting ambitious now?
Maybe. Vincent not allowing Magnus to undermine him further. There won't be any pawn exchanges yet. Vincent's established a very strong pawn. Could become a target, but for now, black's knight is super strong. And Vincent could definitely get ambitious if he starts pushing some pawns forward. It feels like he has free reign on the king side. White's very passive, especially the bishop and knight. Can't really move.
But it's the time. It's the clock factor. He does want to double up the rooks on the c line to overprotect that pawn on c4. Magnus, will he be able to do Magnus things in this endgame?
And talking about results, we have a result. Was a win for Bibisara Asabeva in the Armageddon against Sujine. Well, fortune favors the brave, and that's exactly what happened. Will Magnus manage to win this Armageddon to get those 1.5 points? Well, not if Vincent has anything to say.
Yeah, so much action elsewhere. I do believe we will be recapping some of the games that we haven't been able to focus too much on. So stay tuned, everyone. A bit later, we will see some of those happening, some of those endgames, some of those checkmates that we have missed out on. But for now, this is the big one. This is so tense right now, this Armageddon.
Very complex. And yes, it's completely in the balance, but you look at the clock, you realize that Magnus is playing an endgame, and you know that anything can happen right now. He's going to make Vincent sweat in this. Vincent looking at trying to potentially get b5, but you have to be careful with that move. You can't really open up the A line. Magnus stops any advance at the center of the board. No e5 yet. Vincent instead pushes the h pawn.
Conventional wisdom says you don't want to let your opponent advance too much. Magnus loves gaining space with pawns, so g4 now harder to achieve for the world number one. Great move from Vincent Keymer there. Magnus, if he can't really make any headway on the queen side, can't push his king side pawns, might find himself a bit stuck. He moves his rook forward first. He gets kicked back by the knight. Vincent happy to repeat the position. Of course, a draw is enough. But Magnus has gained a move. He can now double up his rooks, try to apply even more pressure. First, he locks up the queen side, or he attempts to do so. And here we go. Vincent's rook, though, gets access to a really nice square.
And now you've got 3 attackers and 3 defenders. Where's the breakthrough? Will there be a 4th attacker? Will he try to get his knight from f3 to e5, try to create more pressure on that c4 pawn? It's the only weakness that Vincent has in the position.
Well, it might be a weakness on the board, but I'm worried about Vincent's clock. He's down to 2.5 minutes. Magnus, well over 5 minutes. And every decision that Vincent makes is costing him time. Bishop takes bishop.
He has to find it.
This is uncomfortable because he knows now a white knight is going to get a beautiful outpost. After the bishop trade, the white knight's going to come back to where it stands, and then the c6 square. The c6 square is going to be the home. And the beacon is sounding. It's going to come in, and black is going to be a bit uncomfortable there. And wow, he tries to lash out. Mistake from Vincent Keymer. He's giving up a pawn, but it shouldn't be captured. The blue arrow says bypass that pawn. Do not allow the black knight into some nice squares.
And that's the only move that gives Magnus Carlsen a close to winning advantage. And of course, he finds it. This is endgame. This is Magnus's home turf. And I'm not even talking about Oslo right now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's all about controlling the squares. Blue arrow appears one more time to centralize the knight. The knight is headed to its dream destination. Magnus now well on his way to picking up that vulnerable pawn on c3.
How does he do it every single time?
Patience.
Grinding like a grandmaster. He can get away with this type of stuff in the rapid games. Vincent doesn't have enough time in Armageddon to solve the problems. Vincent panicked there. If he hadn't pushed the pawn to c3, he was still fine. But he didn't have that patience. That's what Magnus has in abundance. And eventually the opponents tend to crack. They don't like the tension. Magnus loves the pressure.
This is the thing about playing Magnus Carlsen. You feel like you survive him in the opening. You survive him in the middle game. You've done most of the job. Then it goes into the end game and you realize the game has just started.
Even if it looks dry, even if it looks almost symmetrical, even if it's just half a weakness, Magnus will zero in on it. And here we see the c3 pawn about to drop. The only question is whether Magnus first reacts to the tension between the f and g pawns. Does he take? Does he block? Does he take the c3 pawn first? He's got time, plenty of time, 3 minutes up. He looks like he's about to fall asleep, Magnus, but he knows that the victory is in sight now.
And the confidence with which he traded the queens, going into this completely symmetrical endgame where it almost looked like you got nothing to play for. And here he is with a winning advantage, the king advancing to that h3 pawn, which will also fall, the knight on c6 beautifully placed. I don't think Vincent continues this for too long.
Oh, he's trying, Vincent Keymer. Magnus doesn't walk into any tricks, nothing on the pinned g-file, just defends with his king. The black knight looks nice, outpost, but can't really move. Or can't do anything productive. There we go. It tries to go back, but Magnus can stop that knight.
He can
moving
also
to c5.
take the pawn as well.
Wow.
Ooh.
Can take it. He hits the black rook, gaining time, and the rook swooping into c7. Great spot, Jovanka. That would end the game on the spot. Double attack.
Magnus, will you find it? Huge move, huge moment. He could be up 2 pawns, almost forcing his resignation after knight takes pawn there with the rook coming into the 7th rank.
But it's also not necessary.
But I don't think he sees it. If he would have spotted it, he would have played it by now.
I think he's seen it. He's just calculating whether it keeps full control. It's that type of position. Does he need to
He
do it?
does
Yes, he
it.
goes for it.
Magnus Carlsen finally spotting the killer tactic. He missed a couple of chances in the classical, but now he's moving in, and the rook falls. Vincent Keymer resigns. Magnus finally gets that point, gets the win in Armageddon.
Gets a win, picks up 1.5 points. It was vintage Magnus. He just fell back on what he's so good at. And in the meantime, we are going to move to Wesley So against Gukesh. Wesley with the white pieces is in a must-win situation. He's opened up with a quiet system against e5, and he does have pressure against black's isolated queen's pawn in the middle.
Yeah, some questions for Gukesh to answer. This pawn isn't quite hanging yet because the black bishop was pinning the e2 knight. Does he take it? Does he retreat? He does step back. Some tactics maybe. He will regain the pawn if he can, Gukesh, if that central pawn is taken. But Wesley's going to play around it. And interesting dynamics. Wesley, we talk about him being solid, but must-win scenario.
Must-win scenario, but this feels like a very Wesley position as well. You know, he's got this positional advantage of the d5 pawn being a forever weakness. You could develop your bishop, pin that knight on f6, threaten double down on that pawn as well, asking some questions. Not an easy position for Gukesh.
Definitely not easy. Wesley with a big decision now, though. If he doesn't find something immediate, then d4 might come. The isolated pawn might become super strong, and then it can continue advancing, battering ram, trade itself off, total equality, if not more, for Gukesh. So Wesley has a small window now of opportunity.
Would be so tempted to plant that bishop on g5 so that d4 can be met by the knight jumping forward. It looks like Gukesh was ready with his response, comes back, unpins himself.
Yeah, but the question is whether he can take that pawn. That looks odd, the bishop retreat. I thought he either advances that pawn or he just lets it go, like h6, and forces the bishop pair off the board. But now, can you take? Can you take?
What he's relying on is the b2 pawn being weak as well. I think there's so much calculation involved with the rook sliding over, and I think we're going to see this line being played out. And once the dust settles, will Wesley have an extra pawn on the board? Bishop takes pawn. The rook will attack that bishop, also eyelining the b7 weakness.
Yeah. But the one thing, though, in Gukesh's favor is that he's very active with his pieces. And we've seen Gukesh thrive in that type of position. He almost won against Wesley earlier on.
I'm not liking this position for Gukesh at all. It just feels like Wesley's the one with the extra pawn and the piece activity once you go rook takes pawn. The bishop on g2, an absolute monster.
Yeah, at least Gukesh in the previous game, there were imbalances. The pawn structure was a bit odd. He had squares, he had active play, active pieces. Yes, he's got the bishop pair here, but White's the one creating stuff. The knight in c6 hanging loose. Queen to c8, that feels a bit odd, although it is a double attack. He's hitting the rook and he's hitting a pawn on h3. Feels like there are tactics in the air, though. Wesley needs to find a good way to defend his rook, move his rook. Black's pieces are so loose. Feels like there's almost knight checks in the air.
I'll give you a fun tactic, rook to b4.
Oh, rook b4, take it, please. Oh no, my rook.
It's senseless because you can pick up the pawn on h3, but just flashy.
Yeah, anything to deflect the black knight from defending the e7 square. Okay.
There's some very tempting ideas as well. You can jump in with your knight to d4 as well, but he almost
Almost.
rook b4, rook b5 instead.
You know, I think he's actually setting up the idea of knight to e7 anyway, because the bishop opens up against the black rook as well. Bishop takes pawn just feels incredibly loose.
Yeah.
You'll probably end up losing material in that line.
We're setting up a pin, right? Rook to c5 with ideas of sacrificing the rook for the knight and delivering that deadly knight check on e7.
Yeah, that would overwhelm the black queen, and rook c5 is a deadly threat. Hard for black to defend against it. The black knight can't move, the black queen can move, but rook c5 anyway is going to hit that piece. Knight back to e3 in some variations is a nice way to just hit several pieces at once, diagonal, the light squared bishop as well. I think Wesley's almost winning here. We see the eval bar, pawn up, and the tactics working in his favor. Gukesh just unable to survive the opening, really. Unable to even get a game.
It's incredible, right? The narrative of a player pushing in the classical, unable to convert it to a full three-pointer, and then going on to lose in the Armageddon. We saw this happen yesterday, and Wesley looks like he's about to repeat that script. Rook c5, massive threat. And not easy to really take care of it. You know, you could line up your rook on d8, but it doesn't help. A counterpin here.
Also, the stats are telling us that White is the one with the advantage in Armageddon, if the results are to be believed. Almost everyone has won, barring Bibi Sara, who defeated Eugene with the black pieces.
Wow. And right now it looks like that trend will continue. That time advantage is growing and growing. Gukesh unable to calculate his way out of this one. Not much to do.
That's the other thing, right? Gukesh has often been criticized for his time management as well as in faster speed chess format. He does struggle a little bit more. You know, for all those incredible calculations, you need time on the clock. And that's coming to bite him here.
Yeah, no time, no kind of outposts for his pieces. The black knight just so loose. The bishop's now looking very vulnerable. Rook b5 was a genius move from Wesley. Best square for sure. So many targets. I don't see it. Tactics. Just to check the computer, apparently putting the king on h8 at some point, maybe starting with this pin first and then just hiding the king on h8 is the best. But either way, it looks like Gukesh has got to lose more material in the near future.
Well, he has to also just hurry up with the clock ticking down and make a decision.
Yeah, just make a move at this
Rook
point.
to d8, setting up that pin looks like a no-brainer. You might as well.
He's in analysis paralysis right now because he knows he messes this up, he's going to lose material right now, and then it doesn't matter how much time you have on the clock. But you still have to make a move because now you're under 2 minutes.
Yeah, at least go down fighting. Don't just let the clock walk over you. He drops his bishop back. Decent move. Wesley likely will do the same thing, though. Still threatening to take that knight and deliver a deadly check.
So Gukesh will be forced to sidestep with his queen, stopping any of those ideas. After rook c5, do you move the queen to e8? Gukesh better have this sorted because he can't spend another minute on the next move.
Exactly. I think his idea might be to drop his bishop back and just hit that rook, cover some checks. But there, Wesley has a devastating check, and the queen will take that bishop.
Yeah,
C5.
The only other move that I can see that kind of more or less doesn't lose on the spots is just to after rook c5 is to slide the queen over to e8 or d8 or somewhere like that. Get out of harm's way.
He does it, rook c5. What is Gukesh's defense here? He spent a ton of time moving that bishop back. He had to be expecting this move. I think he slides the queen over, defends that e7 square, defends his bishop. The knight's still connected. Wesley makes a small move, but piling on the pressure now. The pins are all over the board.
Oh, that's classic Wesley, that last move. Just small improvements. The white rook was doing nothing. Now it is. Now it's doing a great job hitting the black queen indirectly. That was the last piece that wasn't doing anything. Wesley brings it to life. Black is frozen.
This is the kind of position you just crack under this kind of pressure, right? The blunders happen in these moments because everything feels loose, everything's hanging. He brings the rook, a counterpin on the D line.
Oh, but any knight move now. Not sure where. F4, C1. How scary is that pin? How uncomfortable is that unbreakable pin?
Yeah, the queen just trapped and boxed up between its own pieces.
And he just has 1 minute. It's only moved 19, no increment for ages. 1 minute to make over 20 moves in a dead lost position.
Yeah, and I like the poetry of dropping the knight back to c1. It's been a theme we've seen again and again this round. Just get that knight to a stable square, everything connected.
He pushes the pawn, and
But
that's
hang
an
on a second.
inaccuracy.
Yeah, he's letting the bishop kind of slide back here, survive. It does hit the rook with a check.
And the problem is that you could jump in with your knight, but the black queen suddenly has this e3 square to bring on the counterplay. Gukesh goes for it. Knight f6, you pick up that knight. You lose the bishop, but the black queen is coming in.
Turn around.
It's a totally different position now.
Okay.
Wesley has blundered and lost control. He's missed that after he moves his king, the bishop can move, hitting the white queen. And the white queen has to take the knight, and there's going to be a skewer at the end.
Gukesh's worst piece has become his strongest asset in the position. The queen coming in, and look at that. Look at the shift in Gukesh's body language.
Wow.
He missed. He missed that he couldn't take the knight.
That is crazy. He just... that's so un-Wesley-like as well. To play f4 to weaken his own king, to allow any counterplay when he has so much time and so much control.
How many moves to move 40 is the question, because Gukesh has a minute on the clock.
18 moves to make in 62 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
It's over 3 seconds per move before any increment kicks in. Physically going to be difficult. He rolls his sleeves. He is back, is our featured chat. Apparently rook to e8, bishop e6 are ways to get the advantage, but you need to move.
He does need to move.
Oh, and Gukesh is back, but the one thing you never get back in time, back in life, is time, and that's what's haunting Gukesh. Make a move, Gukesh.
We can't. He takes on h3.
Wow,
Unnecessary.
so unnecessary. I was going to say, when you're low on time, you want to force it. You want to play direct moves. I was going to say, this is maybe the most human, most tempting. It's a discovered attack, hitting the queen. Queen takes knight. He's going to slide his rook across, but he's missed the sting in the tail. There's a detail at the very end there that wins white material. We'll see it. Will we? Okay, we actually see a bishop trade. He realized that if the rook had gone to c8, rook to c3 would have won for white. Now king can slide back.
Only move, though, for Wesley.
Yeah, he'll
Yeah,
find
It's
it.
the most
finds
natural
it.
move. You want to defend that knight. And now
Okay.
30 seconds and a dead lost position.
Yeah, but there's still hope for Gukesh whilst the white king is out there. Rook e8, white is in tremendous pins, but he does have extra material on now. The beat back starts. Rook c3, the queen, and we have resignation.
And just like that, Wesley So takes down the world champion in an absolutely crazy Armageddon.
Wow, Wesley had it under wraps for so long, had full control, let Gukesh back in, but no time on the clock for the world champion. And that last blunder, very understandable. Ultimately, Wesley just a bit quicker.
Just a bit quicker, but speed is the name of the game in Armageddon, especially when you have black.
I don't even think the clock is the 17th piece in the Armageddon. It's piece number 1. It's what you have to manage. And I think in this game, Gukesh totally failed to do so. He had that one window of opportunity, but just no time on the clock to capitalize on it.
Yeah, no time on the clock. Well, Armageddon time, it is cruel, it is ruthless. Wesley is the winner in that one and walks away with 1.5 points. After all of that drama, we are gonna take a breather. And then when we come back, we are gonna break down exactly what went on in the day. It's gonna be fabulous.
Bibzada, that was quite a roller coaster day. It's the classical seemed to be going one way, then another, and then how did you feel after that game?
Yeah, firstly, I have very unpleasant position. I don't have even a normal move, and I just trying to survive somehow. And I was lucky that she was in a safe knot, and at some moment I was absolutely winning, and I don't know what happened with me, but I missed it. And then I just trying to focus on my Armageddon game, and it was terrible, I think, from both sides, but I'm happy that everything ended good for me.
Do you think it's fun to play Armageddon after a classical game?
Yeah, I think it's very fun and interesting to play this format.
Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Magnus, congratulations winning the Armageddon. How did it go for you?
I mean, the Armageddon was fine, but obviously the way the classical game went at some point, that's a position I should never not win, but he fought well, and I played a little bit too safe at times, and all of a sudden it was hard to win.
Can you please tell us when you sacrificed the piece on c7, what was your evaluation of that position and what was the line you were considering?
No, I wasn't sure, but I was mainly considering him taking back with the rook, and then I capture, I go c5, and I thought, well, I mean, I'm probably better, but it seemed pretty risk-free. Yeah, then knight takes c7 was a little bit of a surprise, and I realized he has the idea of p5 96, which I didn't see at all. But I think then I take on d6, and it probably should be some kind of draw. Knight e8 shocked me. I mean, that was just a blunder. And yeah, then I should, of course, win the game.
After the game, you were sitting at the table and you were just thinking probably about the position. Can you please tell us how difficult it is to switch from one game, classical game, then to Armageddon?
No, it's not easy. I think the Armageddon game was pretty poor, but yeah, it's just you know, a little bit demotivating at that point, but you gotta try and do your best, and you know, if I get the game going at some point in the tournament, that extra half point might matter.
We love to see you at confessional booth. You always give us best possible things. Does that help you to think through the variations when you're going there and speaking about the moves?
Yeah, I mainly just want to, you know, try and entertain. But it's obviously better when you combine that with winning some games as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And time trouble. And as the library announces that it's closing, let's actually recap what exactly went down. We had one classical victory by Alireza Firouzja, which leads him to 6 points, a full 100% score. We also had Bibi Sara also just going into the lead, 4.5 points with her Armageddon victory. So what exactly happened in their games?
Yeah, let's jump into Alireza, or Ali Leg Razor Firouzja's victory, because it was so impressive. Not just the way he got an advantage, against Prague. We left it here. He'd already done the hard work. He'd won a pawn, but the way he converted was so smooth and so instructive. Here, Prague has just pushed his pawn forward, and we were debating a couple of variations. We were saying, oh, just take this pawn, and when the rook hits b2, you can still advance, but the white knight here, slightly sidelined, the white pawns slightly vulnerable. Here, Alireza found a very, very mature way of handling things. He instead just gave back the pawn temporarily. He brought his knight forward, active play in the endgame, dropped the pawn back, but after the knight hit the bishop, it was forced to move away, and he had this idea in mind, picking up this pawn instead, and all of black's pawns are isolated. The rest was just very one-sided traffic. The knight found a nice outpost a bit later. It stepped back, and this position, a few moves down the road, and from there, knight coming into c4, it was clear that he was about to win. And just to show the last hurrah, Prague tried to get his king active, tried to bring it in, but wasn't able to do so successfully. And checkmate was actually the way this game ended. f3, a very, very nice finishing touch. If the pawn is captured here, then it's a discovered check, and the rook drops. Instead, Prague decided to go down in flames. The rook slid across, and he walked in with his king. But after a5, checkmate, now coming in. Rook h4, that was blocked. And one last hurrah. Knight coming in, rook coming in, checkmate. Just one-sided game, one-sided traffic. Alireza in place number 1.
An excellent technique there. He's in impressive shape, actually.
It's a technique. It's the work with, I think, Ivan Chaparinov, who's here with his as his second, the opening preparation that he's been showing. In the middle game, taking those dynamic chances, going into this combative play. I mean, Alireza is just killing it so far in Norway chess. 2 classical wins. He's up on 6 points. He's playing with an injured leg. I mean, we see him on screen. It's just unbelievable what this guy is doing here. And he's done that en route, taking down Magnus Carlsen.
Exactly. What a dream start there for Alireza. 6 points out of 6, 2 classical wins, just leaping ahead of everyone in the tournament so far. And I use that term ironically because leaping is not exactly what Alireza is doing. But we also mentioned...
Would you say he's sprinting?
He's sprinting, he's running as quickly as possible.
Running away with the tournament.
On the chessboard, at least. And when we go to the other tournament leader, Bibisara Salbeva, I mean, there, it didn't look like it was a smooth game whatsoever. We left it in a very choppy Armageddon. But what exactly went down?
Exactly, it was a crazy game. Just to showcase as well the final moments of that one. But first, for those of you just joining us, we should show how desperate it was after a blunder earlier, a dramatic blunder by Bibisara in this position. She's already sacrificed a piece to open up the white king, but on the dart squares, great counterplay, but rook to e7 was a huge mistake, walking into bishop to d8, suddenly a pin, and she was a rook down, but a few moves down the line, suddenly things started turning. Knight to d2, a mistake, and the only way to keep the advantage for white, surprisingly, is to push the pawn forward and activate the white knight. But instead, she brought her rook across Zuzhina, allowing Bibisara's pieces to come in. And black is so active here. I'm just going to fast forward a few moves to this position. It had already started turning a bit, the black pieces swarming. But after queen to g3, queen to h6 was the final blunder, or one of the final mistakes from Zuzhina, trying to go for her own checkmate, but she neglected a few moves later the safety of her own king. Rook e7 compounding the mistake, just allowing the black pieces to come further in, and after bishop d4, white was all tied up. Again, Armageddon, the clock playing a factor here. We see the clocks, 11 seconds at the end for Zuzhina, and queen to d2 allowed. Rook takes b2, everything collapsing on the second rank. Knight h1, the final try. But after rook takes queen, she resigned, as it's soon going to be game over in this position. Black not only tying up white with all the checks, but also 4 pawns up. Game over.
Yeah, and sometimes it just goes to show chess is not necessarily just about the skill, it's also about the luck, how things just fall in your favor. So Bibisara there with a very important Armageddon win over one of her rivals. So let's just recap the results of the day. One classical win was Alireza Firouzja defeating Pragnananda. 5 Armageddons, but to be honest, it could have easily been 4 decisive results.
Yeah, It was such an up and down day on all the boards, such big fights, turnarounds, comebacks, punches being traded. We saw all the drama happen, and in the end, it was Alireza who got that only classical win. You know, he's been runners-up at Norway Chess twice so far, and I think with the start that he's had, I know it's still a long tournament, but this is where you start getting ambitious as a player. Maybe this is the time when I step it up on the podium.
Oh, nice. He's a streaky guy, Alireza, and I wouldn't be shocked if this is a big breakthrough. He's kind of been on a dry patch in terms of tournament victories, but Norway Chess, he does love it here, as you said. He looks in a good mood, looks happy, and the way he's been playing, energetic, but also kind of controlled in a nice way. Yeah, he's the guy to beat at this early stage.
Well, he started with 2 whites. I think the real test will be tomorrow. Let's take a look at the standings after today's play. Firouzja, 6 points, big lead over his closest rivals.
Yeah, that's huge. 2 classical wins, and behind him you've got So and Gukesh with 2.5 apiece. And guess what? It's Firouzja versus the world champion tomorrow. It's Firouzja versus Gukesh. We're in for a big treat there, and that could be the real separator. Like you said, he starts with the black pieces. I think that's going to be our marquee matchup, David Howell.
Definitely. Can't wait to watch that one. Every matchup seems to be a bit of a marquee one. I mean, world-class players galore.
No easy games here at Norway Chess. And let's actually have a look at tomorrow's pairings, because you already gave us a taster. You said that there's going to be a big matchup between world champion Gukesh playing with the white pieces against Alireza. What can we expect from that one?
Fireworks. Fireworks galore is what it's going to be. I mean, just their style of play, these two players, the form that Firouzja is in. Gukesh is going to be so angry with everything that's happened today as well. The other thing that I did notice in the standings earlier, Magnus Carlsen is not used to being at the bottom of the leaderboard with 1.5 points there. He's at number 5. I think he's going to be looking at scoring a big one. He needs a classical win at this point.
Yeah, Magnus still not at his best. Normally he bounces back very strongly. He got the Armageddon in the end, but he will have wanted and expected more. I'm looking forward to Bibisara Asobeva against Divya as well tomorrow. Clash between number 1 and 2 in the women.
Yes, and Divya is showing us that she's already the Armageddon queen. We'll see what unfolds there. But just a reminder to all of you, and probably to David as well, that the Blitz Champs will be starting in just about an hour or so, where the top NFL players are just slugging it out against each other. David, Tanya, you going to be watching?
Count me in. I need a bit of dinner first, and then straight to watching Blitz Champs.
Definitely hungry, and then I'll be tuning in as well. I think this is going to be fun. No such thing as too much chess, but I can't wait for the action tomorrow. I mean, Norway Chess just keeps giving.
Exactly, and I feel the need for the speed. What a day it has been here at Norway Chess. It started off slow, but then it exploded with a bang. Thank you, Tanya, David. It has been
awesome.
An absolute pleasure to have you here, just to share your insights. I mean, what a day it was.
5 Armageddons? How did we even get there? That's just completely crazy. Just 1 classical win, and this is what I absolutely love about the format, that even a draw, you get a brutal fight to decide 1 winner.
Exactly. I love classical, I love blitz. Here it feels like we have the best of all worlds, and Norway Chess is my favorite tournament for a reason. It just always drama, and maybe tomorrow we might even see some table smashes.
Absolutely. Who knows what will be happening tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining in, tuning in and watching the show. We'll see you all tomorrow. Who knows what will be happening? There might be more Armageddons. There might be more table smashes. Who knows? It's all unexpected.
Chess is changing, and this is the next big step. Total Chess is a new FIDE-approved World Championship Tour. Created by the team behind Norway Chess, it combines Fast Classic, Rapid, and Blitz into one title. A pilot is set for autumn 2026. In 2027, the inaugural tour begins, and we will crown the first ever FIDE World Combined Champion. 4 events a year, hosted in cities around the world. A clear season structure, a bigger audience, and a stronger presence for the sport. We are partnering with sponsors, investors, host cities, and media partners to build something with long-term global impact. If you're looking for a global platform with real momentum, this is it. Let's talk about how you can be part of it.
What I like about chess, there is actually a lot of similarities with the football as well. You need to plan your moves a bit ahead. You need to stay sharp. You can't lose 1 second of focus. If you do, you might get punished. You have to sometimes surprise the opponent. Chess, I have a lot to learn. In life, I have a lot to learn. So everything in life, you can always get better and you can always improve. Total chess can turn chess into an even bigger sport for new audiences.